There we go. I don't know what's going on with my computer lately, but you know what they say, everybody? Better late than never. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Friday night here over at The Good, The Mav, The Ugly. You know who I am. My name is Spencer. My name is Mav. And yeah, I am the host of your show tonight. I'm sorry I'm a little frazzled tonight, guys. Well, right now my setup is clearly freaking out and it's kind of frustrating me. But more to the point, I'm so sorry for being late. It's been an exhausting week. I really needed to get a nap in, and the only time I could really do it was right before the show. So I took the time I could. Then I got up. Then I assembled everything, set up the stream, and here we are. So I'm so happy to be back here on another Friday night to hang out with you guys, kick your weekend off with some positivity, shake off all of the negative crap that we have to wade through during the rest of the week, and set you guys off to have some fun. Remember that there's still some cool things out there, that there's still reason to go on, everybody. But yes, aside from that, we have a couple decent topics to talk about tonight. Obviously, if you caught the thumbnail, we'll be talking a little bit about the DC Studios Lantern series, which probably got its biggest death blow possible earlier this week. We've also got, we could probably talk some Warner Brothers news. They just made a big shift to all of their video game studios. I realized last week that we did not talk about a very big topic, which was specifically the announcement of the Final Fantasy Magic sets. So we might talk a little bit about that depending on where the show goes. There is some really stupid comic book stuff, but also some cool comic book stuff that we might touch on that I didn't get to last night on Foil Variant with my boy Andrew. Go check that out Thursday nights at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. everywhere else. Do the math. I am bad at it, and I live in the one state that doesn't do daylight savings time, so you guys are all on your own. But yeah, guys, as you all know, if you're a regular viewer of the show, and if you're not a regular viewer of the show, how we do things around here, this is obviously an open talk. If there's anything you guys want to talk about in particular, let me know. Bring it up in the chat as always. And if we have the time, if it fits into the flow of the conversation, we will get to it, because this show is about talking with you guys. It's not about me. This is about a conversation, building that sense of community, building that sense of positivity. And give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to keep talking, but I clearly, something is going on with my camera where it is not focusing on me, and it's genuinely bugging me. And I think it's because, as I can see with all the extreme lighting in my office / room, that there is a water spot on it, probably from some other stream I did this week with my dummy butt, my dummy face yapping away. So hopefully I can bring that back. Let's see. There we go. Look at that. Look at how much better that is. So simple. Now you can see how wild and out of control and in need of a haircut I very much am. At least it's not as bad as that other week where I looked like Asian Doc Brown. What was that, last week? The week before that? So, okay, that taken care of. Let's get on with the show. Let's hang out, everybody. But of course, as always, we kick it off tonight by saying hello to the chat. First off, we've got Zero Dozer. What is going on, buddy? Zero asks, by the way, Mav, when will your new layout be ready? Very, very soon, hopefully. If you guys saw earlier this week, I actually am currently in the flow of upgrading a lot of our layouts. I fixed a bunch of stuff over on Foil Variant. This weekend, I've really got to... I got to hammer out some more graphics. I got to test some triggers, whatever you want to call them, like button presses and all that kind of fun stuff. So very soon. I don't want to make any promises, but I genuinely want to hopefully have it rolled out by like 2 weeks from now, because otherwise I'm going to have to try and find a way to cram a third number into the title. And I'm not entirely sure, 51.88 is going to turn into 57.111 or whatever we're at, or 51.777111, all that sort of fun stuff. So I definitely want to get to that point before we run out of numbers. And I forgot this. I forgot genuinely that okay, how do I put this? In the thumbnail, I forgot that the way I originally set it up, because we've been using the point designation for about 2.5 months now. I forgot that the original way I set up my thumbnails was supposed to be able to show off that entire side of art. And I've just gotten so used to having to work around covering up a little bit of it that the other night I was working on it and I went, whoa, that's right. This actually looks a lot better normally. So we're going to get there. Everything is still moving. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation is I have a real job, right? Like I have to take care of bounding most of the day. That eats up a big chunk of my day. And hopefully someday we'll have a big enough member base community where maybe I can open up a Patreon, maybe I can open up memberships, and we can start making this a full-time thing. We can start dedicating more time over here. Who knows? That's all in the future. But even with the fact that I can't dedicate my full attention and time to the stream, I still want to deliver you guys the best experience possible. Make sure you guys have a place to come be positive, kick off your weekends right. Because again, guys, we spend so much of our week just wading through crap after bad announcement after bad announcement after dumb Rachel Zegler move over dumb Rachel Zegler move over just, it's bad. It gets rough out there. It can weigh on your soul. So that, let's make sure that doesn't happen, huh? We also have Dante. What is going on? Mi amigo, our resident horror writer over at Bounding Into Comics. Very exciting, by the way, guys. We got approved for a press pass for him for C2E2 over in Chicago, which is a very, very, very big comic book convention. So that's, onward and upward, right? We have the recognition. They clearly are letting us in. Again, I don't know if everybody gets in or nobody gets in, but I still think it's very cool that Dante got a pass for that. So what's going on, amigo? Always a pleasure to talk to you. Punk, my buddy, says, hey, Boomer Spencer. I know. Again, it's the weird thing that's going on with my mic. Hopefully, once we jump to the new layout, that will never happen ever again. We got to get rid of that. Whether it's the automatic weird volume control that happens or just taking away my microphone for some reason, and no idea why. But you guys will be happy to know we do have a new cable over here, so none of that crackling. All your ears should be good. Hopefully, honestly, let me rephrase that. Hopefully, like I said initially, hopefully from here on out, the only real audio issue you guys have to worry about are the times when I get super Italiano and I end up hitting the microphone when I'm moving my hands. But yes, always a pleasure, Punk. Timon, what is going on? Always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Not a Friday stream without him, right, everybody? He's one of our mainstays here, as is everybody I've said hello to so far, including Tehillim. What is going on? Shalom and good to see you all. So this live stream is late and gay, also probably a little bit fake. No, absolutely. Like I was explaining a little blusteredly at the beginning when I was kind of frustrated by my blurry camera. It has been one of those weeks where it has just been exhausting across the board. Here, how do I put this? I haven't really talked about this in public yet. I have I guess you would call it an obituary, really, coming out either later tonight or tomorrow morning. But unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, you guys may not know him specifically, but if you read Bounding Into Comics, you may have noticed that in the recent weeks, we had, or not even weeks, the recent months, we had a new writer. His name was Nikola Petacic. I apologize, can't say his last name. It is Czech, it is Slavic. I am so bad with those pronunciations, right? Hey, I'm bad with Filipino pronunciations and even English pronunciations. So I think I can get a little grace. But Nikola was one of the newest additions to our team. He came in under my tenure. He was one of our main video game reporters. He was enthusiastic about video games, loved Dino Crisis. He unfortunately passed a couple weeks ago. So in the interim, it's been a lot of buckling down, trying to both help out his family, take care of the workload, all that sort of fun stuff. So as EIC, this is one of those times when I just had to buckle down. So the last couple weeks, very, very busy, very, very, whatchamacallit? Yeah, just had a lot on my plate. Exhausting, that's the word I was looking for. So, yeah, exhausting week, but we're here, and that's why we were late, because I just had to get a nap in somewhere. Otherwise, I would have been on the stream going... So thank you guys for hanging. enduring that 45-minute delay or so. And thank you for being here to hang out with us anyway. Yeah, Zero, not even joking. Wait, what? Damn, RIP. Yeah, completely out of the blue. We didn't see it coming. It has been a pretty challenging time here behind the scenes. But yes, taking that is just one element of the fact that like I've had to, you know, refocus my efforts, start putting out more articles, editing, just all the unpleasantness that comes with having to run a business. So, yes, all of that aside, you can check out what I'll write about Niccolo a little later if you want some more info. But let's move on. Let's start talking about some topics. Let's get ourselves into a more positive area. 1 second, guys. Okay, cool. I just had to check one text message. So, what do we want to talk about, guys? What have you seen going on this week? Maybe you have seen, well, let's see. I want to, how do I want to start this? Before we jump into anything real, like, deep, or not deep, but real topics, we'll let people roll in. We'll let you guys throw out thoughts. We'll let our minds get going, right? We'll start the ball rolling, so maybe we come up with more topics, or we remember more stories and anecdotes and all that sort of fun stuff. But I did want to highlight, let's highlight some comic book talk, right? It's been a little while since we've done that here. We will jump over to the comic book window. You guys, if you were over on Foil Variant last night, you may have already heard me talk about this issue, this series. It is called Hell Hunters out of Marvel Comics. Really not, if you saw me last night over on Foil Variant talking to Andrew about this is just going to be a way shorter recap of that. Don't really have to get into it, but so this series is a standalone miniseries. It is set in World War II and sort of focuses on a couple World War II era heroes fighting down Nazi vampires, right? You got Nick Fury, you've got Peggy Carter, you've got the Ghost Rider of 1942, you've got the Sorcerer Supreme of 1942, and you've got Logan, and now in this issue we get Bucky. So it's been a very, very, it's fun. It's one of those books that like you pick it. It's just a lot of fun. It's probably not going to have any big lasting impacts on the lore or any big changes to any of the characters' histories or any of that stuff. But it is consistently one of the most like fun books I read on a monthly basis right now. Obviously, we're only 3 issues in. It is ending in the either next issue or the issue after that. It is just supposed to be a miniseries. One of my big metrics for coolness, right, is honestly, so years ago, we all went through this phase, right, where when we were teenagers, when we were young kids, we all liked certain things. We thought, oh, that's so cool. You know, take, for example, shout out to our boy Sakura Amita, be like, oh, Power Rangers is so cool. Yeah, look at those. They're fighting. They're in giant robots. And then, you know, you get to be a teenager. You get to be maybe a young adult. And in an attempt to sort of fit in with the rest of society, to make yourself seem more mature, you get in this weird headspace of like, okay, Power Rangers was cool as a kid, but weird, like those were really bad suits, all the effects are kind of bad, and you get this, everybody or most everybody goes through this, right, where you start going, that stuff's all kind of lame. I went through that, and then I would say probably when I was 22, 23, I went, who cares? Like, if that stuff was cool to me as a kid and it hits my like lizard brain now, let's get really into it, right? So that's one of my big metrics, right? Is does like this trigger does like this hit the 13-year-old part of my brain that goes like, oh, that's so cool. I think I've told this story before, either here or over on 01 with Cider, Jacob, and Nerdigans Wednesday nights. Go hang out over there. Hold on, Shinkai, we'll get there. Now you've totally thrown me off. So when I was years ago, when I was with one of my ex-girlfriends, we were living together, and Devil May Cry 5 came out, right? And here, I can pull up exactly what I'm thinking about, because I always forget we're on a visual medium. Sakura Amita, Spencer, really, of course. I just thought I'd pick a good relevant thing, right? Like I didn't go through that with Power Rangers, but that's what a lot of people went through with Power Rangers, right? They still go through it to this day. So I just thought that was an easy sort of example that we could all identify with. Hey, look at that. Andrew is here. Better late than never for me. That makes two of us. I've been creating my hunter. That is right. I totally forgot. Happy Monster Hunter Wilds Day to everybody who observes. I've heard that. I've heard while there are some changes people don't like, I've heard overall that this entry is amazing. I saw that the player count skyrocketed earlier today to like hundreds of thousands of players concurrently on Steam alone. I know, what studio was it? Shift Up, maybe? One big studio gave all of their employees the day off because they were legitimately getting just like floods of, oh boss, I'm going to be sick on Friday. I can't make it. Sorry. Dang, look at that. Andrew says it crossed 1 million this morning. So that is damn impressive. I hope everybody out there who plays Monster Hunter Wilds enjoys. I'm not a big Monster Hunter fan, so I'm not going to be able to ride this train with all of you out there. I'm not a fan, not because I don't think it's a good game. I actually played, and Andrew will probably drop the exact title in the chat because we talked about it last night, but the last one for like the DS, 3DS or whatever, Generations, I think. I played a lot of that one with friends. It's good. I like it for what it is. I just prefer my character action games to be a little faster paced, a little more Devil May Cry, right? Like a little more Metal Gear Rising. So the slower aspect of it never really clicked with me. It's just not my style. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's awful. I'm just saying it's Sakura, buddy, I'm sorry if you took that as an actual insult. I wasn't actually insulting anybody. I was just pointing to Power Rangers as an example of the thing that a lot of people will turn their backs on when they get older, right? There's so many people who love Power Rangers as a kid and they grow up and then they go, oh, this is really stupid. This is really lame. Like, who likes rubber suits and monsters and blah, 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 right? And so I'm saying, forget that mentality. If you like it, you damn sure better like it. And that's what I'm trying to get at, right? If it hits your brain, if you think it's cool, even if it's like something that a 13-year-old would find cool, you lean into that and you don't be ashamed, guys. For the longest time, I hate the term, or let me make that sentence actually connect instead of letting my ADHD brain go weird like that. For the longest time, I have held that the phrase guilty pleasures, dark pleasures, or whatever, stupidest phrase I've ever heard. If you like something, just like it with your whole damn chest. And if somebody makes fun of you for it, you either take your licks depending on who it is, or you go, okay, you're a complete jackass, right? Like, I unabashedly love Taylor Swift. I love her music. I go see her concerts all the time. Or I've seen her concerts. I didn't go to this last one because I was broke as hell. But, right? And I know a lot of people don't. I'm still going to stand by it. I'm not going to say it's a guilty pleasure because that implies it's something I should be ashamed of, right? And no way. If you like what you like what you like. But yeah, so in terms of Monster Hunter, that is just it. I know everybody, everybody likes it. I'm glad. It's just not for me because of the slower paced combat, but I hope everybody enjoys it. I'm looking forward to seeing the positivity, which is something I am very, very happy about right now, which is a lot of the clear grifters, disingenuous people in our circles, the Mark Kerns, the Endymions, the Yorch Torch games, they've all been advocating going, oh, this is going to be woke, this is going to fail. And they don't really know what they're talking about ever. And it's even more insulting when they try and get in on a community that this is what, like, it's one of those hypocrite moments, right? Where those commentators, they say, oh, we didn't like all these people coming in and infiltrating our spaces and our communities and telling us what to think and overriding us. That's what they want to do to a lot of these more niche communities, especially the Monster Hunter one, right? I know the Monster Hunter one is expansive, and every time Kern opens his mouth on it, they go, no, shut up. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And he almost always has to backpedal, delete. So I'm glad I'm glad that there is just positivity out there, that there's something you guys can all enjoy, and I'm just glad it is not a complete disaster. You know what I mean? Yeah, see, exactly, Timon. Gave it a fair shot, just wasn't for me. I did like that in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, the representative for, or not the representative, but Monster Hunter did have a representative, right? It had the hunter in the really cool Rathalos armor, and then if you guys played Mega Man X Dive, they gave Zero and X Monster Hunter crossover outfits. So it's like Rathalos Hunter X and somebody else for Zero. I can't remember. Again, not the. I'm not gonna know the lore, right? I know Phalins, whatever, the cats. I know Rathalos, and I know one of the like guild girls or whatever, like the side quest givers from one game, people found really annoying. And then I know that the new one, or the one from the last game, the blonde girl with the Maki style Street Fighter ponytail hair, like I like her. I know she's cute. So I will admit though, I feel so sad sometimes because I don't know if you guys, let me see if I can pull up this and just show you guys real quick. Because there's too many toys in this category. There it is. Bump, bump. Let's switch over to that real quick. We'll come back to Hellhunters in just a second, but now I'm on this Monster Hunter kick. So, I don't know if anybody here has seen these, but Transformers has started doing a lot of crossover collaborations lately. Admittedly, guys, well, let's be honest here. I definitely think that with all of Hasbro's troubles and the time frame of when they started doing a lot of these collaborations, I definitely think it is a sort of please, please, please give us money. Because I remember I bought this for a friend, and unfortunately things happened, no longer in contact with him, so now I have it, and I didn't even want it. But one of the first ones they did was like 4 or 5 years ago. They did the Jeep from Jurassic Park could transform into like a transformer. They recently, it just came out this week, and I have it here. I have it. Don't fall down, green screen. Don't fall down. Yeah. Oh, here, let's go to face main so you guys can all actually see it. They did a Naruto one where you see that. Whoa! I had to buy it. Like I couldn't not, right? But yeah. So they're doing a lot of crossovers now, and on the topic of Monster Hunter, they are doing a couple figures where you well, it's two. It's an Optimus Prime Rathalos and an Optimus Prime Silver Rathalos. I want these, but I feel like such a poser if I were to buy these Transformers, because like I like Monster Hunter for all that it has to offer, but I don't know anything about it. I have no real intent to get into it. So like imagine if I'm hanging out at my house, right? And a friend comes over, Andrew comes over, and he goes, "Oh shoot, you like Monster Hunter?" And I go, "No, I just like the Transformers." This is a personal pressure on myself. I think we've talked about it like last week, right? Like if anybody else is like that, if I went over to a friend's house and I went, "Oh, you've got the Rathalos Prime. Do you like Monster Hunter? Do you like Transformers?" And they went, "No, I only really like Transformers. No, I only really like Monster Hunter." I would go, "That's cool. I get it. That's fine." But for me, I hold myself to a higher standard because this is probably from growing up in the comic book stores of the 90s and the early 2000s, right? Like I never wanted to get my card pulled in a way that I would embarrass myself. And then I also knew how it felt to have people pull that card and try to speak over you. So I just want everybody to get along. I just want everybody to know I'm not posing. So maybe someday I'll get the Rathalos ones, but I just wanted to highlight them, show everybody, if you like them, go get them. Yes, Andrew, a Kurama Transformer and a Gamakichi, or Gamakichi. I always forget how to say his name. Yeah, Gamakichi. I didn't watch the anime. I only read the manga. So yeah, you got Kurama. Oh yeah, let's go. That I'm not gonna make you guys look there. You got the Kurama on. Trying to fix my light temporarily so you guys can actually look inside the packaging. Yeah, you got Kurama, and then Gamakichi, and then yeah, here looking at the back is probably better, right? Whoa, it's so cool. I know. So there was this trend back in the late 2010s. Yeah, I'd say like in the 2010s. Yeah, throughout the 2010s. Now that I think about it, like, oh, hey, hold on a second. Or what am I going to say? Let me get to this and then I'll get to Shinkai. I just don't want to lose this train of thought, and I know I will. In the throughout the 2010s, there was this trend that popped up, particularly from places like Threadless or Yeetie, all these sort of, as nerddom started becoming more popular, more chic, if you will, there started being a lot of crossover art, right? Or and like crossover t-shirts, crossover pieces, things that would show you like Doc Brown riding in Bumblebee instead of the DeLorean, or Link using a lightsaber instead of the Master Sword, or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles all wearing orange bands with the Hidden Leaf Village sign instead of their own. And we've all seen it. There are way more examples of this that get way more egregious. And so that trend was called for a long time. It was called like or there was a blog that tracked a lot of these items, and it was called Just Two Things, because the whole thing was like rolling your eyes at the Reddit concept of like, it's just these two things mashed together. And so for a long time, like, I'm glad I sort of stumbled upon that blog when I was younger, because obviously when I was younger, that all appealed to me. I went, oh, that's so cool to see that crossover. And then as you grow up, you start realizing like, oh, that's weird. It's very consumerish. It's not really speaking to the property. It's more just like a pop culture virtue signal, if you will, right? Like, I like Back to the Future. Do you like Back to the Future? Right? I'm a cool nerd, rather than saying like, I genuinely like Back to the Future. So I'm glad I was able to sort of step away from there, but I also have to get over that, because like, I look at this, right? Transformers and Naruto, that is very much just two nerd things smashed together. But in what we were talking about, it's still cool to my 13-year-old brain, so sometimes I had to do it. Shinkai says, I don't hold myself to a higher standard. If I like it, I like it. Example, would wear a sweater with a sports team on it, not because I like sports, but design looked cool and was comfy. That's the perfect mentality to have, and B, that I can admit right now, like, that is the healthier mentality to have. I just have this very weird standard for myself, right? Like, in that same example, Shinkai, I would never wear another sports team's out like color or like logo, at least, because then if somebody comes up to me like, oh, are you a fan of the Las Vegas Raiders? And I would go, no, I just like the colors. I would feel, I don't know. It's just my own thing. It's definitely an insecurity. And like, everybody look to Shinkai, everybody applaud. Applaud Shinkai. This is the way everybody really should be. Do whatever you want, regardless. Don't even care. So shout out to you. Let's all try to get there. But yeah, no, that's just a personal thing for me on my end, right? Like, I don't want to be caught with my pants down at sort of any point. Like I said, definitely just a weird personal thing. The Ninja Turtles belong to the sewers Hidden Village. Well, according to TMNT Naruto, it's the other way around. They're in the sewers of the Hidden Village instead of in the Hidden Village of the sewers. Whoa, check that out. But let's get back to the original topic, and we'll just because I don't want to lose what I have here with this really cool video. Yeah. Xbox sound. Like rest in peace to Xbox, right? Like that's not even a thing that's going to exist anymore. So this is back to what we were saying, very much on the bend of what Shinkai is saying here about liking things and kind of whatever if you like it, and what I'm saying with no guilty pleasures. So a couple years ago, like I was saying, I was living with one of my ex-girlfriends, and that around the time why am I so bad at telling stories tonight? I guess this is what happens when you wake up like 20 minutes before showtime and have no time to get back into the world. But living with my girlfriend a couple years ago, and at a certain point, whatever year it was, I think like 2017, right? Devil May Cry 5 starts coming out, or like, it hits consoles. And I am very excited for it. I'm telling my girlfriend, oh, this new game is coming out. I've been waiting for it. I used to play the fourth one in college. The third is one of my all-time favorite games, period. And she's like, that's cool. Like I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to see like what's going on here. And so a couple days later, we're sitting at home, we're watching TV together, and I didn't want to turn the volume down that far. And there was this commercial, which this commercial actually played on like national American television. I saw this ad the first time at the gym on like ESPN, where it's just regular people doing their sort of jobs, DMC style. Like this housewife, she's making dinner with Ebony and Ivory. We saw the construction workers summon, I don't even remember their names anymore, but the Puma, the Jaguar thing for V to help him with the construction project. And let's see if we can find the Japanese one, because I think, is it the same? Yeah, okay, I think it's this same one. No, I think that's just the game footage, because the Japanese one, yeah. Oh no, I think this is DMC 1. I like this one though. We'll just watch it. Where she starts like aerial comboing him. Oh yeah, that's for the first Devil May Cry. I knew that was somewhere. But yeah, so when this first one, when the DMC 5 commercial came on, when we were watching TV, my girlfriend was like, she was like, this is everything a 13-year-old boy would find cool. And I just turned to her and I went, yeah, exactly. And you know what, guys? When I eventually got the game and I played it, she was enthralled. She was like, this is cool. And I'm like, yeah, I told you so. And then shout out to Capcom, because they know what they're doing. V, right? The Phantom Twink version of Virgil. I know I and probably a lot of you out there looked at his design, and probably still to this day, and go, he's stupid. Like, what are we doing here? The ladies love him, man. My girlfriend, my ex was like gaga over his weird twink poetry throwing Rose's ass, and I was just like, all right, I go for it. I guess that hits that's jogging your noggin. You know what I mean? So yeah, all that to say, like what you like. If something is cool, just like it. Whether it's Power Rangers, whether it's Toku, whether it's a really weird dating sim game, whether it's a really bad comic book run, like what you like. The asterisk I would put on that is like what you like, but also be able to acknowledge what possible flaws may be in your media, right? Or whatever you're enjoying. There's a lot of stuff where I go, this is my favorite thing of all time. This, like, I love this. But I can still go, there are massive flaws. I can see why people don't like it. I can get this. It's okay to say, like, yeah, there are flaws. If there's a flaw or somebody doesn't like something you don't like, oh well, right? It really only matters if you enjoy it. Because yes, that doesn't really work for, like, let's say Andrew, right, over at the Rippaverse. They want more than, one reader to buy Isom number 4 or Yaira number 5 whenever it comes out, because they do need to make money so they can keep producing stuff. But that's a concern for the business end, right? On the I'm loath to use the word, but on the audience, or instead of, I was going to say consumer, but I can say on the audience side, if you like it, you like it. You might be one of only 3 people who like it, but you like it, right? For example, I love Ben Reilly. I'm probably one of 4 people who even remember what he was like before he turned into the Jackal the first time. That's okay. It sucks. But that doesn't change the fact that I still like him, that I still like the character. So, again, I don't know if you came back to a Sakura, but if you read my initial example wrong, I completely apologize because it's not what I meant. It really was getting to like what you like. Enjoy what you like. I am mid-waifu mad for a reason because I loudly and proudly talk about how much I love Yuffie, right? Which, by the way, guys, I am super, super excited. I have Rebirth finally. I got my new SSD installed. I have a new hard drive I need to install and do a bunch of stuff with that. But I think tomorrow I'll be ready to actually dive into Rebirth. And I'm ready for it! But so likely in the coming weeks, one of our either stream buddies or thumbnails will probably involve Cloud or Yuffie or so on and so forth, right? Yes, exactly, Andrew. That was such a good moment. Andrew says the Monster Hunter community absolutely destroyed that retard in reference to Mark Kern. And yeah, it was fantastic. It was one of those, like, everybody poured out to say, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, by the way, gosh, I'm just going to bring this up because it is probably the most embarrassing thing I have ever seen. Hey, what's going on, volume dealer? Hello from Zimbabwe. Are you really in Zimbabwe? That's cool, dude. Trip, I don't think you normally live there, right? I feel like you would have mentioned that, or you would have missed a lot more streams because I don't think the internet is the best down by the Cape. Oh yeah, Timon says, do you know the old anime Babel 2? The main character has a Shadow Panther like this. I do, and I don't know if you were online in circles or anything, like in video game discussions around the time, Timon, because comparisons were made around that time. Not a lot, because you are right, it's kind of an obscure anime, but I remember when I saw it, I went, Babel? And I saw a handful of other people that are like, I wonder if this is a Babel reference, right? Because it's one of those weird dissonance things where when we think about, oh, would this Japanese thing reference other Japanese thing? No, that's too out of pocket. It's so weird. We forget that, like, we only have that block because they're a completely different industry that we really don't have a foothold in, right? Like, we can't go talk to them. They'll reference themselves all the time. Every single thing on the planet references Kamen Rider. So if you see something and you're like, is that a reference to this other Japanese thing? There is a damn good chance it likely is. No, let me, where is, yeah, dude, LOL, fortunately not. I didn't think so, but that is very cool, amigo. Vacation or like just I'm presuming vacation, because why would you go on the weekend? But still glad to have you, volume dealer. It's all, like, again, a regular, always a pleasure to see you. Brings a smile to all of our faces, and it's not a Friday night without all of y'all hanging out. Let's see. Yeah, Zero Dozer says, "Oh yeah, Kern's cringe." Well, that's what we know. We all know how I feel about Kern. He's disingenuous. He's a piece of shit. He doesn't care really about video games. He wants to be very much in the same vein of that. You know, so. A lot of these people, right? Like the Trents, the JDAs, the Yorch Torches, the Melanie Max, you know, all the people who make these very inflammatory, very over-the-top takes and leave no wiggle room and say, I am right, blah, 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 blah. I am the leader. I am powerful. They got nothing. They don't really care about what you've got going on. They just they think that they're going to be the next big internet personality, right? It's very much in the Elon vein where they think, oh, all of these people got to where they were by doing this. If I just do this, I will also be le funny man. I will also be le big personality that everybody references. But what they fail to realize is that, like, a lot of that growth isn't forced, and B, it's because those people had genuine like insight and input. You can't just sit there and be a talking head and expect everybody to roll in and go, yeah, you're the savior of gaming, right? So all of those, honestly, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your time, but I would recommend, if you regularly kind of engage with a lot of that content, the next time you think, oh, I want to, or I see a Kern tweet, I see a Yorch Torch tweet, should I read all the replies and get engaged with it and yell about it on Twitter? The next time you run across that, just take a second and go, I'm going to go play a game. I'm going to go read a comic book. I'm going to go watch a YouTube video. I'm going to go do something productive and enjoyable with my time. Because again, we don't have a big cadence of influence where if we all don't pay attention to them, they're going to go away. But at the very least, we can make our own mentality and our own sphere of like, what am I trying to say here? You don't need it, basically. It will exist, but you don't need to have it in your life, and you don't really need to give it sway. Let their own little insular communities shrink upon themselves, especially when they're posting this kind of crap, right? Like, this is why I bring it up. This was a real tweet from Mark Kern, posted, 4 days ago. Quote, do not fuck with gamers. We're forged by endless boss battles against impossible odds. We do not give up. We do not stop. We are the terminators of the culture wars. Are you fucking joking with this? This Cole's ass, like, I paused my game to be here. Like, this is the Redditest, soyest, saddest thing. This man is 57 with a family. And he's posting about, we were forged by endless boss battles. Because yes, Mark, playing virtual boss battles is the same as being an actual revolutionary and actually going out there and eliciting change. He doesn't understand that because to him, he thinks posting is winning the culture war and winning the fight for the economic, anti-woke movement. And it's not like, this is so embarrassing. This is, like, I want to make this very, very clear. The quote-unquote anti-woke movement online, even though we all would consider ourselves at least tangentially a part of it, we do not have the level of influence that people like Kern or any of the other people I've named want to think they have, right? You see this a lot. When a game fails, they'll go, that's right, we did this. We, the anti-woke gamers, we did it. Like, don't mess with us. Don't fuck with us. But the reality is, how many times have we seen really bad products, really, again, I hate the word, like woke products succeed despite their quality, right? It happens way too often. And the reality of the situation, guys, is that a lot of the damage we're seeing to the video game industry, while it is good and important to stick by your principles and your integrity and vote with your wallet, don't buy things you don't want to support. You do not have to play anything. You can always pick and choose. You do not have, you're not like me, right? Where, like, that's one of the bad downsides of my job is I have to watch every Marvel thing that comes out. But you guys don't have to, because you don't have any obligations. So vote with your wallets, vote with your time. I encourage that because I do that as well. And it does send a message. But when something like the Suicide Squad fails, when something like Concord fails, it is not just because people went, whoa, look at the DEI. It is because the actual developers screwed themselves on their own. A bad product at the end of the day is a bad product. So when we start seeing all of these failures, it is because at large, players are fed up with this stuff, right? Look at even Veilguard. Yes, there was a lot of pushback against Veilguard and it failed, but at the end of the day, Veilguard would, like, if it wasn't for the fact that even normie and like neoliberal Dragon Age fans went, this is a bad game, you really screwed up the dialogue trees and it's just not fun to play, that game probably still would have gone on to do unfortunately well, right? Yeah, well, okay, so this is a good jump point, what do you call it? this is a good thing. I want to bring this up because we can roll it into what we're talking about. But Timon says on the topic of what I'm saying with vote with your wallet, you don't have to engage with everything. He says, that's why I dropped Final Fantasy and Assassin's Creed, because he personally felt that like none of this stuff was going to get better. But look at Assassin's Creed for an example, right? The I forget whatever one it was before Mirage. Again, I'm not a big Assassin's Creed guy. I tapped out way back with 3. Pardon me. So my Assassin's Creed canon goes Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2, Metal Gear Solid 4, and Assassin's Creed 3. And if nobody knows what I'm talking about with this, I'll bring it up right now just to let it play while I address what. I'm not connected to the internet. What? That's really odd. I don't know why it... Huh. Anyway. Jade Raymond.
Today, I'd like to announce a brand new chapter in this series. Take a look.
Yeah, in case anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about or what this video is, back in 2008 for April Fool's Day, Ubisoft and Kojima, I guess technically Konami, but it was Kojima, teamed up for this little Easter egg video where, as you saw, Jade Raymond, the creator of Assassin's Creed, came in and said, hey, we got a new chapter coming in. It's going to be super exciting. Then it cuts to this gameplay demo of the first area of Metal Gear Solid 4 where Snake is dressed as Altair. This is the video that ends with the infamous Kojima, did you like it? And funnily enough, you actually do get, they did make the Assassin's outfit downloadable later. This was back when video games could be fun, right? Like when this happened, this felt like it was fun. Like, oh, look, 2 video game companies with 2 like products we love, or like stories and characters that have genuine care and love behind them. They decided to do something fun for the fans. Now, if we saw this, we would just go, okay, so they're going to license out. Okay, so now what? We're going to get Assassin's Creed DLC? Like, we're going to have to pay $5 for it? Like, what are we doing here? You guys are desperate. So, yeah, that was my little reference about MGS4. But Timon says, Valhalla, thank you. Yes, in Valhalla, we saw a lot of the problems we were seeing with narratives and everything these days, right? A lot of, overtly strong women where it didn't make sense. Like gay romance options in times when they historically wouldn't have been that easy or that prevalent. And then gameplay wise, the awful stat bonuses, the awful, we got to, pick up your axe of +1% damage against people with blue eyes or whatever, like that kind of stupid crap. All of that stuff was in Valhalla. But unfortunately, because not a lot of people were in the know about how sort of bad that made for an experience, that game still sold really well, right? Like, it still made them money. You can't call it a failure by any means. But now that they got, now that more audiences got their taste of just how bad it could get when not Mirage. Oh, no, I think it was Mirage. Whatever. Whenever the one before Shadows came, they tuned out. They were just like, I don't know about this. We've seen, we're tired, we're bored. And yes, exactly, Timon. Bad products. That is what it boils down to. A lot of the bad products can be bad because they've put too much more focus on their narrative preaching or their, social grandstanding. But at the end of the day, no amount of we said it was woke is really going to have that much of an influence on a video game's prospects of success, on its survival, on its future, anything like that. There we go. Okay. Origins followed by Odyssey, then Valhalla. Okay. Yes. That is correct. Okay. You are right. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Again, trying to keep it straight. This is one of those series that does then you can go like Syndicate, and then there's all the mobiles and the PSPs, and because I have no frame of reference. But I thank you guys for helping me out here and bringing that along, or helping keep me in line with my Assassin's Creed lore. I will say this, though. I am slowly learning a little bit more about Assassin's Creed stuff because Like, I hate that this happens. Unfortunately, a lot of the cards that they put in the Magic the Gathering set for Assassin's Creed are like really good just in general. So I have to buy them and I have to put them in. And if I'm looking at the cards, I learn a little bit more about who the characters are. Yada 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 yada. So I'm learning a little bit more. Yes, that's right. In Odyssey, you had to dodge the gay dialogues by being a jackass. So, like, exactly, like that stuff that this crowd would normally complain about, right, is all in there. But that game was successful, and so was Valhalla. Shadows probably won't be, and Origins, or no, now I'm screwing it up, but like Shadows definitely won't be as much. And a lot of that is going to be around the kerfuffle. There's going to be a sizable influence that has to do with the kerfuffle around their treatment of Japan. But most people are going to tune out because Assassin's Creeds are just boring now. Like, you know what I mean? They are just repetitive. They're boring. So many video games are turning into single player, like MMO gotcha games, and it's not fun. Like, so how do I put this in a succinct way? You might have heard us talk, if you were over on 01, you heard us talking about this, but in recent months here, and we'll bring up another story that is relevant to this. We can get another topic to ding in here. And while I pull this up, let's see. I do want to address this from Volume Dealer. Volume Dealer says, ugh, Melanie Mack is so annoying. She's like the groupies I would have to deal with in the metal shows. And yeah, no, she to me is I do not enjoy her content, her takes or whatever. She very much seems to me one of those people who goes along with kind of whatever will get her attention. And it really just boils down to attention. That's why she drops the F slur all the time, because what other reason would there be to do it other than give me attention, give me attention, give me attention? There was maybe a month, like in 2019, where saying that word would have been seen as like a subversive, I'm not playing by your like weird societal censorship rules. But that, like, to coin, like, to borrow a phrase, the joke's not funny anymore. Now it's just like, oh, this is sad. Like, you're still doing this bit? Like, to this day? This is it? Okay. All right. Like, there's a reason. Think about actors or musicians, right? Or even game studios. If they stay stagnant, if they just do the same thing for years, yeah, we'll like it. And we'll also, at a certain point, go like, this is cool. They're still sticking to their guns. But then we'll just, at a certain point, we'll go, they're not innovating. They're not giving us anything new. What are we doing here? And that is definitely what I feel like with Melanie Mack. And then Volume Dealer asks, do you have a love-hate relationship with him or just hate? With Kern, I wouldn't say it. So between these two options, I would definitely say it leans closer to here. Let's have this tweet up so you guys can remember like where I'm coming from with all this, which is like, I wouldn't say hate, because to me, hate is an active thing where I'm giving him my attention. I am going out. I am tracking everything he's doing. I am trying to go out and bring him down, I don't give him that much attention. In my day-to-day, if I see Kern, I roll my eyes and I keep moving and I just move on. There's no engaging with somebody. What am I going to get by engaging with a 12-year-old Redditor, right? A 12-year-old Redditor in a 57-year-old man's body. The man's not making his video game. He's running off with hundreds of thousands of dollars. He has not helped anything. So many, like, this has been bumping in my head a little bit for the last week. I saw somebody make a comment about like, shout out to like our boy Shagsworth. I believe it was Shagsworth. He made a tweet where he was like, Kern's an idiot. He's not going to give you your game or whatever. And somebody retweeted or like replied, and it was either to Shags or somebody else discussing this. And if it's not Shags, well, hey, always happy to shout out the Shag man. He's a good guy. I love talking to him. And this person said, what have you done for gaming? At least Kern's actually doing something. He's saving us. He's leading this charge. And I went, what has he done? Literally, guys, he's done nothing. A lot of people will say, oh, he got Stellar Blade uncensored. he didn't do that. It was Hyung Tae Kim and everybody at Shift Up fighting back against Sony. That was all them. There was nothing from Kern. Kern hasn't directly spoken to anybody. He didn't take down Concord. He didn't bring attention to the fact that Multiversus was a bad game. He didn't do any of that. The most he's promised is he was going to print out the names of people who like supported Shift Up in their making of a sexy video game character in with Eve in Stellar Blade, and he was going to mail it to Shift Up. He didn't even do that. So literally, what has he done? Right? But clearly, as you guys can all probably get from my tone and the fact that I'm going on this way too long, it's not hate. I just strongly dislike the man, and I strongly wish we had better representatives for our sides. Like, because people like Kern, people like JDA, people like Yorch, they just give the opposition all the ammunition they need to go, why are we listening to them? They have nothing to say. They're a bunch of whiny children who post, you know, Cole's video game slogans on their Twitters and think they are really fighting something. It's you know, it's just frustrating because I really want better for video games. I love video games. I love comic books. I love superheroes. I love anime. Like, I love all of this stuff, and I want it to be better, and I want it to get back to a more creativity focused place, a more, you know, genuine place where if I'm coming across a gay character in a game, it's because the creator wanted to do it, whether they execute it well or not, and not a corporation or a social pressure going, you need to put this in or we're going to cut your funding. You know what I mean? I want people to be able to create. So when I see these guys coming in, completely ignoring every little bit of context that might destroy whatever their side is and actively just make everything worse, I've got to call it out. That's the thing I hope in my couple-year internet career here, between bounding into comics, between Good Mab Ugly, between, you know, my work over with That Park Place and That Game Place. I would hope by now a lot of people would understand, like, I don't want to say this chastisingly because I felt the words and I'm like, that is the wrong tone. Those are the wrong words. I expect everybody to know, but if you guys have followed me, if you've been a friend, a fan, a fish, you'll know that I do not take this from either side. I am not an ideologue. My politics are very much dead. Like, I am very much a centrist on issues. There are some good takes on the right, some good takes on the left. Mostly, you're all fucking retards and you're all corrupt, and I don't trust a single damn one of you. So that's, back in the day, that's what we used to have comic books and video games and stuff for, where we could explore messages and do things instead of virtue signaling. For example, that movie Amelia Perez about the transgender drug dealer or whatever, if somebody had come out with that movie in, let's say, hold on, I just need a drink of water. Woo! Thank you. Dang it, what was I saying? Crap. I caught the link I was going to share with you guys at the side of my head, and now I don't even remember what I was trying to say. Right. Amelia Perez. So that movie is about a drug dealer, like a transgender drug dealer who gets the transition surgery and then tries to it's a drama. It's also a musical, but it's this movie. You've probably all seen the media, like the press. This movie's awful, and it's also a very insulting musical because, like, I love musicals, guys. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I am I am an artist first and foremost, and I love music. I love all of that. Between that and Joker 2, I'm never trusting Hollywood again when they say we're doing a musical, because nobody knows what musicals are anymore. Anyway, musicalness aside, that's what that movie is, right? A story about a transgender Mexican drug dealer. If that movie had come out in 2005, 2008, I think myself and a lot of people would have gone, they would have either gone, that is just something I'm not interested in. That's, somebody, we all would have recognized that was somebody trying to tell something like an unorthodox message, a kind of non-mainstream thing, and we would have either gone, that's not for me, like I don't want to see that for whatever reason, or we would have gone, sure, I'll get in on that. I'll see what that's about. And if it was terrible, we would have gone, okay, that was pretty bad, and we would have been able to talk about it. Now, when those kind of movies come out, even me, the more again, the more woke among us, if you will, like I go, this is just, you don't really care about this material. You just are trying to get easy points, right? Like, especially something like Emilia Perez, which is so bad to the point where Mexico goes out and makes an entire parody anti-movie against your country, against France for its production. Like, so that's what I want to get back to. I want to get back to the creators are actually creating, and they're not sitting there going, oh, I did this because it's going to get me another click. It's going to get me, a spot in Bleeding Cool or wherever we want to go. Oh no. So Timon says Assassin's Creed has no story anymore. Brother. I know that. I hear you. And this is where I will bring up my favorite fact about Assassin's Creed. The initial story of Desmond and that, like the female Isu, right? Like from Assassin's Creed 1. And then the whole Desmond waking up in the present with all the assassin powers, and then he like ascends to an Isu. All of that plot line wrapped up in a comic book, and not even like we're going all out, this is a big comic book. It was like a random side comic book under a random creative team that there was no sort of fanfare given to, right? Like, if you're gonna do a canon entry to your I need to wait. Oh no, okay. Like, if you're doing a canon spin-off to something in a different medium, you generally want to put your best people on it, right? Because we want you all to understand that this is on the same level of quality. We are treating it with the same level of respect as that game or whatever, or as that movie or as that show. And we want you to know that we're not just, cashing in. And so you would expect like Assassin's Creed by Mark Waid and Dan Mora, right? Let's get that Justice League Unlimited team on there. Let's go with them. Dan Mora, Mark Waid. And then you would go like, this is the Assassin's Creed comic. You wouldn't give it a random weird subtitle. And yet, that's what they did. Let me find out. Assassin's Creed comic, Miles story ending. Let's see. Wait, where was it? I know it exists. Show it to me. Bum bum bum. Ba ba bum ba bum bum bum. Ba ba bum ba 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 bum bum ba 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 bum. Yes, there it goes. There it is. Okay, let me see. Let me jump this window. Let me pull this up. Hey, look at that. We've got Josh in the house. Isn't Emilia Perez Broken Spanish the movie with gays? 100% it is. And it's going to be so funny right now, guys, because with the award season, it's going to win a lot of awards, even though literally everybody, even people like Grace Randolph, think that movie sucks. But it's the critics all huffing their own farts going, this is such a good message that it's going to be winning things. Zoe Saldana just won like a Golden Globe, or no, a SAG award, I think, for her role, for being like the second lead in that movie. And she's terrible in it. But they gave her an award because they're going to use it for virtue signaling points. So just watch, just know that we all know that awards are fake, right? Like, none of that matters. They're all paid for. It's all politics, like, and not left-right politics, but like Hollywood business politics. So just get your popcorn ready. It's going to be funny. So let me pull this over. But yes, most pathetic thing I think I've seen in a long time. I don't know who would take him seriously after this. Like genuinely. Like, we're forged by endless boss battles against impossible odds. Dog, you're sitting in a chair pressing a controller. I love video games. I know they can be hard. I will admit I've had challenges, and some of them have been struggles. And even at times when I was in the fighting game community and I was getting really into Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, that was actually like physically tough when your arms are jumping all over the place. I get it. I understand. But I would never, ever, ever go like, you know, we're assembling the revolutionary militia. Who's ready to be our like leader? Me. What are your qualifications? I made a bunch of tweets. Shut the fuck up. Or not even I made a bunch of tweets. I made a bunch of tweets and I played a lot of video games. Not a I'm sorry, man. I love it all. Not a leader. Not a doctor. Yes, so this was the book. It was called Assassin's Creed 1, Desmond, published by a French comic book company called Les Deux Royaumes, which makes sense because Ubisoft is a French operation. But this isn't an actual publisher. This is if you guys, you might have already spoiled yourself if you're at your desktop and you see what I have up, but this is a Ubisoft subsidiary. Like, this is just Ubisoft's own imprint for printing comic books. They did the Assassin's Creed this series, and then they did the there was like 1 or 2 miniseries for like the Rabbids. Oh yeah, so here you can see the Assassin's Creed comics, a couple of them. Oh, well, this is just we're on the Assassin's Creed wiki, so of course it's just going to be Assassin's Creed. But yeah, there's also like a Rabbids comic or 2 that they did. So, and like the writer, he's like a comic book writer, sure, but he's not anybody involved with the team. So you really just went, oh crap, we forgot to wrap that up. We got to go wrap that. Like, wrap it up. And it's so disappointing, right, Timon? Because I genuinely thought back in Assassin's Creed 1, we might have had something special here. I remember, because like, what was that, 2007? I'm 17. We get this pretty big open world-ish game that admittedly at the time presented something new. Secret assassins, and you go to the past, and you're jumping and parkouring through all the parapets and stuff. That was cool. We really hadn't seen that in a video game before. And while it was a little jank to play, and maybe not, you know, some of the animations were weird and the graphics weren't the best, it was still like one of those, like, to me, it was a solid, like, 7 experience where I was like, that was fun. I'd be up for more, right? Like, it didn't blow my mind. I wasn't ready to go run up to my room and start drawing Assassin's Creed, you know, fan art on my homework. But I was very much like, that was cool. That was fun. I would like to see more. Especially, I don't know if you guys remember, but at the very end of Assassin's Creed 1, that ending lit my, like, teenage brain the hell up. Where, you know, Desmond gets out of the Animus, and he's like, oh man, well, that was I forget what happened at the end, but like he starts like desyncing or something weird happens, and he gets out of it, and the Abstergo lady's like, all right, no, like we'll take a rest for now. I think we've got what we need. Like we'll you know, go back to your bunk or whatever, and we'll be good. And so Desmond goes back to his room, and he lays down, and he like rubs his eyes, and then he opens them, and he has Altair's like see symbols and hidden stuff vision in the real, like, current world. And I was like, whoa, what is that? And then everything kind of just spiraled from there. I feel like they never really capitalized on the potential of what they had with this world-spanning series, with this very, very deep conspiracy, I guess, right? Like, for all the dumbness of it, Dan Brown's what were those books? Dan Brown wrote all those like religious books, or not religious books, but the you guys are gonna know what I'm talking about. The like Vatican mystery books, remember? They made the movies and they had Tom Hanks in them. What? One of you guys, I'll trust you. I know somebody will get that to me. But the like those books and that Da Vinci Code, my man. Thank you, Timon. Holy crap, that was bugging me. Good goodness. But yes, like the Da Vinci Code, that is, I wouldn't say that is a very deep or expertly written example of the deep overarching like long conspiracy, because I think it goes a little too over the top and it's a little ridiculous and it's a little poppy. But I think that is perfect for something like Assassin's Creed. That level of like over the top, connect everything together would have worked here. But instead, they kind of just abandoned everything. I couldn't even tell you, do they even have people going into the Animus anymore? Is Abstergo even a thing? Do they even talk about the Isu? I genuinely do not know. Yeah, exactly. Right, Simone? I'm glad we're on the same side. Yeah, yes, cool ending, right? Like, yeah, the Michelangelo pizza, yeah, that kind of stuff, right? Like, super dumb in real, like, because I don't know about you guys, but when, like, I watch the Da Vinci Code and I'm like, ooh, that is really interesting. Whoa, like, what a twist. Whoa, what a secret. Whoa. Who'd have thought that, like, the Pope had that forethought? And then, like, I get out of the theater and I'm like, wait, that was really convenient. That was really stupid. But that's the kind of thing that would work in Assassin's Creed, because it is a video game. It's over the top. We should be sort of having that level there instead of trying to tell us, oh, yes, it's very, very all grounded, all very serious. Tehillim says his eagle vision was used in conjunction with the symbols in the second game. I remember that. So I'm not saying they didn't follow up on it. But when I saw that, I went, holy crap, he's like able to, like, however the Animus is programmed, he's genetically like learning the skills and powers, and his brain's being rewired to like be like his ancestors. And I genuinely thought we were going to get to some really cool part where, do you guys remember Mirror's Edge? I believe it's Ubisoft, the parkour game, the first person one where you were like the Asian woman who did like deliveries in a futuristic dystopia, and you were jumping on roofs and you were fighting like people with guns even though you didn't have any. That's what I thought we were going to get. Like Miles was going to realize he had all these powers, sort of like Bruce Willis in Unforgivable or in Unbreakable, and then he was going to go, I need to take them down. And he was going to go rebel against Abstergo, and we were going to do something like that. And then maybe after he wins, you know, he wins and Abstergo crumbles, and then the post-credit scene or whatever is some whatchamacallit, Templar go like in Korea or in Zimbabwe, right, with our boy Volume Dealer going like, yes, the American branch fell or whatever, but the Templars like duties are not limited to one place. And he holds up the next item, the next apple or whatever that you got to go get, and make it another religious item, right? Maybe you could have been like, this is the snake skin from the Satan snake, or maybe this was a rod from the actual like gates to the garden, something like that. Just play on it instead of just going bye. Let's see. I didn't answer this. Josh says, do they still do modern day story? That's probably the one thing holding back Perfect Flag or Black Flag from being the perfect Assassin's Creed game. Yeah, as I just said, I don't know. I don't even know if they do that in Shadows, because like, if they do, nobody talks about who that character is supposed to be. Nobody talks about where like, Josh, I don't know if you were when you were editing stuff. I don't know if we had any Assassin's Creed, or let me rephrase that. I don't think you've edited any of the stories that were like Assassin's Creed related, because you've always like had other things on your plate when we've been in those cycles. But every time a new one comes out, it's all about, Bayek's got to protect his family from the encroaching raiders, or it's Ivor has to like navigate his way in the changing landscape of the Norse world, or Yasuke and Naue have to team up together and get revenge for Naue's parents being killed. And nobody ever mentioned, there was never a mention in any press release, in any trailer, in any interview about, oh yeah, this is where we're going with Abstergo. This is where we're going with that. I genuinely could not tell you. And like, maybe somebody in the chat could, but unless, I feel like maybe Tehillim is the only person who's played any of the more recent ones. So question marks. You know what? We can do this. I'm so stupid. Let's pick a game. Let's pick There it was. Let's go to Valhalla. Let's just see. Click Valhalla. So, first of all, here's the example of what I'm talking about where it's a problem. This is the plot synopsis for the game. If you guys sat and read this, it's all about Ivor in the Norselands. It's not about anything to do with the Templars or the Assassins. So, let's see. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. Are you not going to tell me what the plot of Assassin's Creed is? What kind of wiki are you? Isn't that the point? Assassin's Creed, Assassins, Order of the Ancients. Here, factions. Norse. Okay, Templars. Will that tell me what's going on? History of the Templars. Goodness. Layla Hassan. Isn't that 2? Blade of Shao Jun. Forgotten maybe it looks like they're still maybe doing things in spin-off things. What is this Forgotten Temple? Oh, wow. It's a webtoon. It's a Korean webtoon. What? And look, dude, and this is what oh my God, read this. I'm sorry. You guys know I hate to leave dead air like that, but I'm stunned. Look at this synopsis. The modern day segments of the story follow Edward Kenway from Black Flag, his descendant, Noah Kim, a Korean American college student who was abducted by Abstergo Industries during a trip to Macau, China. Once captured, Dr. Shimazu Sei forces Noah to relive Edward's genetic memories to further the Templars' goals, and in the process, Noah learns more about his assassin heritage. Are you kidding me? This is, I think, what we were asking for. I think if I'm going to look for I'm going to click on Noah's profile, and if it says he retroactively learned skills, I'm going to flip out, guys. I will crash out. Okay, wait. Good. Okay, it doesn't give him powers, but this actually is Assassin's Creed. He goes in, he learns about a location of some secret item, and then he goes and gets it. But yeah, I guess this is the most recent and only time they've done it. I could not tell you. Here, we've got Abstergo, their history. Let's see, the most recent thing. No citation. Cool. Invalid. Oh, Assassin's Creed 3. So, I don't know. There's got to be a way. Valhalla's got to have a summary of its story, right? I just need to see a little thing where it goes, yeah, and then you have the last part of the story. You're in the regular part of time. Where is Ivor? Here, Ivor. As an adult, I don't care about adult. Okay. Maybe? I don't know. This says his remains were used to find the location of the Yggdrasil chamber so they could save the Earth from a potential disaster. But now, so that to me sounds like they're not even doing a connected narrative. Now it's just we got to have one-off missions to stop the Templars. I don't know. It's just all so... It's just disappointing. They really, 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 really fumbled the ball with this one. But, where was I going with this? So, there was one thing I wanted to... Oh, Punk! Yes, take it easy, my man. I know we started a little late tonight, so everybody's schedules might be a little off. I'm going to try to keep this one short and sweet tonight so that we don't go 3.5 hours like last time, because I know it's Friday night. Everybody's got something to do. So thanks for hanging out, Punk. I'm sure I'll see you soon. I will talk to you very soon. And yes, have a good weekend, amigo. Yes. I want to do that one too, but I always default to the Jurassic Park one. Yeah, all Assassin's Creed lore has gone out the window. Assassins before assassins were created. Anyone can use the Animus. Superpowers. I know. It just we had something so potentially good, and they just decided to crap it up with. I can't even say like they were trying to follow the Marvel method, because this was sort of alongside Marvel, right? This was just Ubisoft, I think, trying to I don't know, navigate the franchise, bank off the franchise, whatever, but it hasn't worked. Do 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 do. I don't know. Star Wars Battlefront gave me a huge ego back in the day. Listen, have some ego, absolutely, but as you noted, that was back in the day, probably when you were not a full-grown adult and you still thought you were invincible. Because I definitely had that, like, those same thoughts as Kern when I was 12, 14, right? Let's see. Yes, killing Desmond was the worst thing Ubisoft did with this franchise, along with a lot of things. Like, a lot of things. Timon says, Black Flag had the best mechanics, but the story sucked, past and future. Okay, you're not wrong, but I think it had a lot of good character work. So while the story wasn't great, at least in the past for Black Flag, it wasn't anything to blow you away. I still liked the characters enough to like go on with the story, right? Like I like Edward as a protagonist, but then again, I'm kind of partial to the roguish types, your Han Solos, your Flynn Riders, if you will. So 2 characters in the new game. How does that work modern day wise? 2 test subjects? We don't know. Like, they don't explain anything about how the Animus is working anymore. I know that with Ivor and Cassandra, they like the way they got around having like 2 options, like a male option and a female option, was for Cassandra and Alexios. It was it was for both of them. It was like Ivor's DNA and Alexios / Cassandra's DNA has been corrupted. We know these 2 existed. We can access either of them. Which one do you like? We think it'll get us to the same way. How do you want to go about this? So like, and that worked, right? Because in Odyssey, they're siblings, so they would have the same genetic profile, save a couple chromosomes. And then in Valhalla, it's literally just, we don't know if Ivor was male or female, have at it, right? So you're still the same character. It wouldn't change any of that. I genuinely don't know. I don't know anything about this story aside from the fact that of all the controversy, because I don't talk about anything else. Look at that. Tehillim knew it. I'm following it on my Webtoon account. That's crazy. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I like Webtoons. I think that's a really smart way for a company right now to try and expand and get influence is the wrong word, but sort of branch out, maybe bring your product to a different set of eyes. Again, this is different than saying we're going to go reach for the modern or like for a specific audience, because they're not necessarily changing the product for them. They're just going and giving a different medium of experience, right? From what it looked like and from what it read and from what we see from Tehillim here, I would tend to believe that it probably all reads like a good normal Assassin's Creed story. Tehillim says Odyssey and Valhalla were terrible, thinking bigger is better. Oh, abso-freaking-lutely, man. That is one of the things that has put me off of a lot of modern video games. When I hear open world, I almost immediately tune out nowadays, because that used to be a really cool, fun aspect. Like, oh man, Ocarina of Time, you have this open world. Oh, San Andreas, open world. It was unique, and because of the limitations and stuff, people actually tried to populate it and work within these, like, make the entire map and the experience worthwhile. Nowadays, we have like Assassin's Creed, where you have, go to this one marker all the way out here. You unlocked a tower, cool. Now go to this other marker and unlock a tower. Are you unlocking any new shops or any new allies? No. Maybe you'll unlock like a new quest path, but that's it. So there's been a lot of discussion lately out of the video game industry about bigger is not always better, and a lot of old school developers or more veteran developers, I would say, they're still in the industry. They're recognizing like we need to scale. We all, like us included, need to scale back because right now people don't want to. They don't have the time essentially, right, to invest their time or all of that in these giant experiences. And like we've gotten to the point with video games very much like where we are in Magic the Gathering, where you get a new game and then the next big release is out and everybody is expecting you to go play that one as well as the one you want or like you just got. But so many of these games are turning into just jobs and tedium that if somebody is engaging with that, like the Mirage or not Mirage, the Odyssey or Valhalla open world, they don't have the time to go jump into whatever the next thing is and do 700 million more quests just like that. The other year, either maybe last year at the beginning of the year or the very end of the year, we've talked about this game before, but I'm going to bring it up again because so this game, Evil West. I played this game last year sort of randomly on a whim. I saw somebody on my Twitter feed talking about how, hey, if you guys are interested in a good old-fashioned sort of 360 era romp, check this game out. And I did. It is very much I think we'll get to some gameplay here, but it's very much like a third-person Gears of War feeling, not so much cover style, but in the movement, right? See, third person, you got some basic combos, you get some weapons, some very linear levels. When you go by levels, you don't go with an open world. You go like this chapter is done. Now we go to this location for this chapter, then this location for this chapter. And they're not super expansive where you can go out and explore everything, but they're detailed and it's all crafted very fine where it's quality over quantity. And I've been an advocate for a long time that we need a big return of these mid-level games, right? With moderate production budgets. This game, you could probably beat it in a weekend. Probably, honestly, in a day if you really just sat and buckled down on it. And that's okay. Not every game needs to be 400 years of my life down the drain just to engage with it. It's okay to have 7 hours and go, damn, that was super solid. I really enjoyed that. And move on to the next one, right? Especially because the smaller you make, like back in the day when these games were more prevalent, I talk about this a lot, but nowadays you invest so much money, so much time into a game that if it fails, if it does not even fails, if it doesn't go gangbusters and do Call of Duty numbers, video game studios will go, nope, we're going to write that off. Like, that's bad. Shut down everything. We're out of here. Back in the day, how many times did we play games that kind of were janky, were maybe a little bit bad, maybe in this current era would have gotten railed for some poor game design. But because they were smaller teams, because they were spending a year or two max instead of 9 years on something, they had that opportunity to go, it's out here now, let's get feedback. All right, we can try again. Maybe the game didn't do the best, but it's got enough legs, we'll give you a number 2. Or they'll go, hey, it did solid enough, we can do better this next time, let's try again. One of the examples that's sitting at the top of my head right now is Mega Man Battle Network 1, because I've been talking about it with Josh. For those who haven't played, the map design, the navigation in that game is fucking awful, right? Like, it is terrible. There's no overhead map. Everything really looks the same. If you're like running a direction and you're like, okay, that's the way I'm supposed to be going, and then you enter a fight, when you exit the fight, Mega Man resets and he's looking at the camera. So you go, oh shit, like, where was I going? I have no idea. And right, exactly. See, we're getting into it here. I couldn't tank the first Battle Network game. Mega Man Battle the Map. Right. Imagine, in this day and age, had that game come out, I know that it would have been railed against by mainstream reviewers, and we probably wouldn't have gotten a second. But guess what? Mega Man Battle Network 2, one of the best video games, and 2 and 3, some of the best video games, not just in Mega Man's catalog, but Capcom's, in the Game Boy Advances, just good games in general. But we were allowed to learn and make mistakes and do better, Senator, instead of just auto shutdown. And that is, and to sort of my point about that, this is kind of what happened with the recent news surrounding WB Games. Before we get into that, let's see what you guys are chatting, because I see there's a lot going on here and I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's see. Talem says they had a great story plot in relation for Desmond to find his Eve lineage opposite. Oh, is that in the webtoon? The webtoon looked kind of interesting. I'm not going to lie. I might check it out, even though I'm not the biggest Assassin's Creed fan. Yeah, Timon says, in the old lore, for two people being recorded in the DNA, they should have had to be the parents of the next descendants in the bloodline. Yeah, see, they're always changing that, so expect another stupid change that, who knows? Who knows? Like, I'll leave it to actual, like, Assassin's Creed game theory, MatPat style channels to let me know what I might be expecting out of, this is how Yasuke and Naoe both work in the Animus, you know what I mean? Yeah, I remember that is when they made the change, was with Syndicate. I know a lot of people love Syndicate. I'm not going to ding it. I know it's like my sister's favorite, but yeah, that was a retcon point in the lore. Josh says, open world works best when the game itself revolves around it and isn't a hub for stages/missions. Think steep. The snowboarding down the mountain is the game. GTA is driving the mini vehicles. That's a good point of it too, right? If you're just putting in the hub and you're kind of just going, oh, wouldn't it be fun to spend 5 extra minutes traveling the map to your next mission? There's no point to it. Halo Infinite did this, and it kind of really made me upset because, or not upset, but really bummed, because Halo doesn't need an open world hub. The only way an open world hub would make any sort of sense in Halo is if it was constantly, what's the right word? Alive, for lack of a better term, right? Like, if I'm on an open world Halo map, I expect to run into random ambushes of Covenant every so often. Or maybe I expect to run across a Marine whose Warthog is broken down and I have to give him a ride or something, or yada, 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 yada. But we don't even get any of that in Halo or in Halo Infinite. And then another problem with having an open world in something like Halo is kind of, I just touched on it, but you have two factions, right? You have the Marines and you have the Covenant. There's really no other way to have like a third party or here, how do I put this? If you're on an open world and you're only two factions because you're in space, you're on the freaking Halo ring, the only two factions that can get to you are Covenant and UNSC. And obviously the Covenant, and let's say, the Forerunners or whatever other stupid race they want to throw in there, they're gameplay wise, we know how that's going to eke out, right? They would, in theory, randomly ambush you. Maybe they would, maybe the Forerunner drones would randomly appear at your base and start lasering everything, and you got to take them down before it gets destroyed. That's how that would play out. And then with the UNSC, narratively, because they're all, on your side, you're not going to get anything where maybe somebody tries to trick Master Chief, right? Like they're a thief and they're in disguise, because how would that person get there? There's no commercial space travel in the Halo universe. So you're limiting yourself to random fights. And then again, when I gave that example of picking a Marine up and driving him back to the base, that's all I can really think of to help a UN, or like, that's the only interaction I can see with a UNSC person, because you're not going to fight them, and the Flood are not there. That might have been cool if you come across a UNSC overturned Warthog and some guy's like, help, can you help me out? And then when he gets in your, you don't notice it, but then when his model hops in your Warthog, he has a Flood thing on his neck, and you go, what? And then he like lashes at you. There's not going to be any of that level of surprise, so it just becomes routine. Oh yeah, I didn't expect a Covenant thing to hit me here on this part of the map, but I know how it's going to play out. Cool, got it, move on. It's very much about, you got to have things to do, and I think Josh really hits a big element of it, which is, you got to put it, it's got to have purpose to your game. It can't just serve as that. Like, you can't just go, hey, we have an open world and call it quits. You've got to do something with it. You've got to show us why we should care, why, do random crazy. I know a lot of people complain about it, or a lot of people say it's very empty. Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like, in Tears of the Kingdom, there's a lot of random stuff that happens across the map. Maybe you come across somebody who's like, hey, can you help me fix the signpost? And you got to use your, I forget what it's called, but like your arm and everything, and put a little thing there, like a little structure support, so that her flag doesn't come down. Or there's a Korok who says, hey, I need to get from point A to point B. Can you help me out here? And you've got to do a sort of like puzzle like that. You might come across somebody who goes, oh, help me, I'm so lost. And if you just talk to them, boom, ambushed by the Sheikah clan or whatever. Or you might talk to somebody randomly and they'll go, thank you for helping. Or they're being ambushed by Sheikah clan or Yiga clan, whatever they were. You save them, you go talk to them, they go, hey, you might want to go to this spot where I was in the underground just a couple hours ago. I saw a big chest, but I couldn't get it. Whoa, that's crazy. There's something for me to go do. It's not just Link getting on Epona and running around a big empty field forever. There's an element of that, and that is one of the critiques I do have of the game. I think it's a little too big with the lack of content, and I wouldn't necessarily want them to just throw in more content, because then you run that risk of repetition, staleness, all that fun stuff. But yes, you got to be able to. An open world needs to be alive. If your open world is not alive, there's absolutely zero point in having one. Yeah, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are great first experiences, but I don't see myself replaying them again to completion. Great games, but Majora better. First of all, Majora's Mask is one of, if not the best games of all time. It is on my top grid of games. But that's sort of another element of it too, right? I'm the same way. When I play an open world game, I might love it. One of my favorite games of all time, narratively, gameplay wise, everything. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. It is, to me, one of the best video games as a kid from Southern California, growing up in that, era, and not in Compton, but in poorer neighborhoods, surrounded by a lot of, a lot of my neighbors and a lot of my friends and stuff were black, because welcome to the economic crisis in America, right? So it really hits for me, but I rarely, I think I've maybe replayed it twice in my life, and not even to completion, because it's big. There's a lot, and I don't have the time to go back and discover everything and look for everything. And that is sort of why I brought this up. Oh, Tehillim says, Desmond comment was in relation to the video game, not Webtoon. Well, either way, Desmond is unfortunately gone now, and he evaporated in the comic book made by Ubisoft's publishing arm. Again, like, I would have teamed up with, at the very least, somebody like Dark Horse, or DC and Marvel both do adaptations very often of stuff. Just get some prestige behind that so that people know, oh, I should be checking this out, instead of random people like us going, oh, this exists, and we have to look at it on the wiki. Oh yeah, no, 100% to Hillam. Timon adds to what I was saying about the shorter Evil West style games. Sure, but the 7-hour game can't be full price. Absolutely not. I agree with you 1,000%. I believe Evil West was only like $40, maybe 50. I think closer to 40. But that, to me, bring it back. Like, I want more of those middle level budget experiences, because not only can they be diamonds in the rough sometimes, but working within constraints can help creativity. Because instead of going, oh, I can do everything, you have to go, and when you go, I can do everything, then you start doing everything, right? That's when you start going, oh, I can give them superpower. Assassin's Creed, right? Oh, I can give them superpowers. I can give them, I can turn Desmond into an energy being. I can blah, 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 blah. And you start going, wow, kind of lost your way here. But if you got limitations, you got to go, how do I best deliver this? You have to be very, very direct in your intent when you have limitations. And so I agree with that. That's why I want a return to that. I don't know how many of you guys out there know this, whether you're actively chatting with me or you're watching, you're just watching, which, hey, I see all of you guys, or you're chatting, or not chatting, you're catching the VOD. There was a line back in the early 2000s in Japan called the Super 2000 line, and it was for the PlayStation 2, and it was a line of discount titles, probably no more than $20 at the time. 3 to 4, maybe 5, 6 hour experiences. Some of them were really jank. Some of them were really good, but it allowed us to experience all these things, get sort of a smorgasbord. Maybe I didn't know I wanted this before I played it, but now that I could check it out for $20, not a bad thing, right? Onichabra, the bikini zombie slashing game, right? Like with the really hot girl, cowboy hat, bikini. That started as one of those games with a very limited budget and a very limited scope. But now look at it. Now it's getting references in other games. It's got several standalone titles. It's got a dedicated fan base. So I'm right there with you, Tehillim. Don't worry. I'm one of the people who says we shouldn't be charging equal pricing for digital and physical, because with physical, you're actually getting something. With digital, you ain't. So no, we really need to have a talk as an industry about about pricing. Shinkai says, open world games can be fun if they have unique transportation. Steambot Chronicles with Steambot, Spider-Man with web swinging, Gravity Rush with gravity shift, to name a few. How do I put, let's see. You're right. But I wouldn't say that's the only thing, right? I think nowadays, really, to have an open world, having a unique travel system does help, and it does distinguish you from the pack. And especially look at the examples you gave, right? Steambot Chronicles, Spider-Man, where you're web swinging, Gravity Rush, where you're just blasting through the sky. Love those two games so very, very much. But that's super fun to engage with at all times. I know this from experience from both Gravity Rush and Spider-Man. After a while, it's fun, but I don't really care anymore because I'm like, there's nothing to do around here, right? I will spend hours web swinging or flying as Cat, but eventually I'll hit a point where I go, that was all good. That was all fun and good. Now what? And Gravity Rush is a little bit better about it, right? It has a little bit more varied missions, at least maybe not in what you have to do during the missions, but at least in like the setups and the stories to each individual mission. Like, I lost my, cat or whatever, or, oh man, I need to move, but I can't carry all of this stuff on my own, and my boyfriend just broke up with me, and you hit it with the gravity powers and you bring it over. Pardon me. But then we look at like Spider-Man, right? In Spider-Man, I'll web swing for hours. I'll put on all the costumes. I'll do all the cool tricks, do my run up to the top of the Empire State and dive off to really feel that exaggerated swagger of a black teenager. But then I think, what do I have mission-wise, right? Like, okay, there's a mugger, or there's the drug dealing, where there's like a group of 7 people to fight. There's the robberies, where there's a group of 7 people to fight. There are the rooftop break-ins, where there's a group of like 3 or 4 people to fight. And then there are the car chases, which all play out in the exact same way, where you land on the hood, do the exact same quick time event, and boom, you got the bad guy, right? So that helps. And I think if you're making an open world nowadays, a new mechanic really sets you apart and will get people more interested than just like, oh, I'm walking again. But you still have to give them something to do, right? Like, you still have to fill your world with interesting things to look at. Think about it this way, right? Imagine if we were going to a zoo. I said, good Mab Ugly Zoo trip. Everybody get in the bus. Sakura, Shinkai, Timon, Zero, Tehillim, Corey, Tevya, Caveat, everybody else who hangs out with us on a weekly basis. Josh is driving us, get in the damn bus. And we all went to the zoo, and you guys went, whoa, this like luxury bus is crazy. We've got drinks, and we've got a TV, and we've got a sound system. We're having a lot of fun. And then we got to the zoo, right? And you would go, okay, that was really cool. But if the zoo, and then like, let's say we get to the zoo, and then the zoo is like, Here. I have a very good visual, if I can find it, of the zoo I am talking about. Let's see. Oh, I have a message I need to look at. Sorry about that, guys. I'm doing this. Oh, I put in the wrong show. Let's see. Shinkai says, with all the mana game talk, reminds me of an old PS2 game I played, Dawn of Mana. Is that also a mana game? It is. I don't remember how all the mana games like canonically work together. I don't think they do. I think it's kind of like a Final Fantasy situation, right? A more mana knowledgeable fan will be able to help me out here, but I think that's how it goes. But I think that's all in the same whatchamacallit. Mana umbrella, if you will. Timon says, my rule of thumb for a proper game, main plot game, 40 hours of content, extra up to developer, less than $30. Hold on a second. Let me find what I'm looking for, because I do have a thought on that. There it is. This is what I was looking for. Perfect. We'll get back to this story in a second, guys. Don't worry. But yeah, imagine if we got to the zoo, and it was this, right? It was Roger's Nocturnal Petting Zoo, and it was a goldfish, a cat, and a random bear in a small cage. You would all go, bus ride was really fun, but okay. I thought we were going to do more than just the bus ride. You know what I mean? Like, is there anything else we're going to do? No, the main entertainment's going to be the bus ride. All right. Odd, but okay, sure. Not the experience I thought I was signing up for, but yes, let's go. So, and then Tehillim adds to what he's saying here. So my rule of thumb for a proper game, main plot game, 40 hours of content, extra up to developer, less than $30 for that. Less than 30 hours. Less than 30 hours, less bucks. So obviously, if you're under 30 hours, less than $30. Here's I'm going to push back on that just slightly. Asking for a 40-hour game for budget price, it will never happen. It's just not sustainable. You're not going to be able to find the devs, the writers, the devs, the artists, all of that stuff to make a full-blown 40-hour game and then say, you're going to have to sell that for $30, $20 and hope it makes back money, right? Like that's too out there. That's why when I, at least in my view, when I talk about mid-budget games, that's why I look for 6 to 7 hours, right? And then for $30, I'll take your 6 for 7, like $20, $30 in that area. I'll go for a 7-hour, 8-hour experience because I get it. It's just, that is unfortunately the way of the world. Just like I would love, let's say a new Marvel Mangaverse series, and I would love for it to be like 9 pages long, but I also want it to be on a lower end price of $2 an issue instead of $5, because I know not a lot, like it's not a full-blown 616 story. It's just a side story. Nobody would do, like, it's just, no, you would not find anybody to pay for that. Not less than $30, less than full price, I think. Josh says Mega Man 11 was 30. I put it close to 500 hours. Money well spent. Right. And I get your desire, Timon, and I really wish that was the world we could live in, where we could get that kind of stuff. But if you're looking for a 40-hour experience out of $30, you're going to get a game that it's going to be like open. It's going to be everything we just talked about, right? It's going to be open world with 0 things in it. Maybe your character model works, but it's going to have the worst UI possible. Like, it's just going to be Arial font. But yeah, sometimes these games, you can find these mid-range games and get way more than $30 worth of entertainment out of them, $20 worth of entertainment out of them. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's all about your own taste. And that's why bring back more of these more mid-level games so more people can play things and find their own taste, so that not everybody cares, like, oh, what is Kingdom Come Deliverance? What is Call of Duty? What is the other latest biggest release? They can find the things like all of us here, that they just straight up like. Talem says, Secret of Mana game was the first Mana game I played when younger on the SNES. Same here, my friend. That was also my introduction to the series. Zero says, I 100%ed San Andreas, as did I when I was a teenager. When I had time, I was gonna say, like, when I had no girlfriend and no friends and not a lot going on outside of school, and I was like, okay, that's kind of my life now, but replace school with work. But yeah, back in the day, I hit all of it, and then I would spend hours playing that game, just cruising. I don't know. I love San Andreas, but I know that I can't capture that magic again because I'm going to be sitting there going like, I want to play San Andreas, but I don't have time anymore. The clock is running out. The grave is almost here. Let's see. Jonas, my buddy, what's going on? Long time no see. Guys, my good friend Jonas J. Campbell from That Game Place. I really hope you are all following it now, especially in light of its change in editorial and direction. Jonas is the man. He is putting in so much work lately. Shout out to him. I know that, like me and Andrew and everybody else who's, when we were talking earlier, he's had a pretty rough week as well with just a lot of things going on. So haven't seen him in a while, but so happy. Always a pleasure, Jonas. Jonas says, I feel like it's weird that you're not doing a stream about how great Pikmin 3 is on the Wii U. Why? I don't have the words, Jonas. There's just, all of my reading and my English majoring, I just don't have the earthly words to describe how actually beautiful that game is. But unironically, I love Pikmin 3, and I'm still kind of bummed. I've been holding out for a freaking Pikmin collection on anything. Give it to me on the Switch. Give it to me on the Wii U. Go ahead and retroactively release it on the GameCube. I don't care. I just want all 4 Pikmin games in a solid package that I don't have to like run around looking for everything for. Jonas says, you're so nice to me, Spencer. No. I am only giving credit where credit is due to one of the best in our sphere. One of somebody I consider a really good friend, somebody who I enjoy, I love. None of this is too nice. This is all deserved. And this is genuine excitement because, like I texted you yesterday, I haven't seen you in a while. And it makes me stoked. Yes, it's like that system was made to play that game. Honestly, the Wii U was probably the only time I played something, or Pikmin 3 on the Wii U was probably the only time I played something on that system, and it was like, this all works. I'm not upset. I don't see any flaw in the Wii U production of this game, right? You play Smash, you play Mario Kart, you're like, oh, I see the map on my screen. That's cool. Could have done more. Pikmin 3, all kosher the entire way through. Jonas says, I got Pikmin 1+2 for Switch on digital and open on physical. Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and yes, also the same for Pikmin 4. Now, the big question is, do you have your Alarmo yet? And if not, we're going to get you one because it has a Pikmin setting. You can have your Pikmin wake you up in the morning, Jonas. And I know with the amount of stress you've had lately, what better way to greet the day? You get the Pikmin going, you wake up, you say your morning prayers to God, and then you open your eyes again, and they're already getting to work. And you go, you know what, buddies? I can do that too. Okay, so now the stream is about Pikmin 3. I apologize for my impertinence. See, we must learn to let projects hit the airwaves before we pass our judgments. Yes, Josh says GTA Trilogy is now $30, but it was $60 at launch with bugs that were fixed 3 years later. That's an example of sort of what Timon and I are talking about, where that never should have been released for $60. There is nothing. It is a collection of old games that everybody has that were, completely ruined. But even that aside, because nobody really knew that at the time before it launched, right? And yeah, all old games. Everybody's already got them. $60, $20 for each? No way, dude. When it comes to games that when I was a kid, I would find like 3 copies of them sitting in my friend's bedroom under his bed because he would lose one copy or scratch a copy, and then his mom had to go get him a new one. And then I go into GameStops, and You can get 40 copies of Madden, 12 and 300 copies of GTA Vice City. Those games that are printed everywhere, those don't need to be charged full price. I even kind of think 30 was a little high for the trilogy. I would have put that at a solid 20. I might have even put it at a 10 because, yeah, you guys gave it some new graphics and you improved the handling a little bit, but it's still a game we all played when we were 11. Jonas says, I don't have an Alarmo, but I have a wife, and I don't think my wife would be a fan of the Alarmo. I believe the saying goes, in sickness and in health. And if an Alarmo is going to make you more healthy, I think she would be very supportive of that. As long as, you also, like, when she goes to bed, you go out and you, like, buy flowers and you put it next to her bedstand every morning. So she wakes up and goes, I should be mad at Alarmo Jonas, but how can I be mad at Alarmo Jonas? Also, for those of you who haven't gotten it yet, Alarmos are actually on sale at Best Buys now. Like, they're out in the wild. It was really weird. I got a ping for it. I have the Best Buy, like my Best Buy or whatever, so I get the promo emails every day, and it was like, I got one, and just big letters, Alarmo available now, and I went, I might just run down the street and get one. I'm so tempted to get one, just mostly so I can go, Culture Casino, where is yours? This is what I'm here for, Jonas. I'm here to help solve problems. I'm here to troubleshoot. That's where I got my background, right? In being customer service in the food industry. This is what I know. Josh also brings up Mario Maker, also still better on the Wii U than the Switch. I agree, but that's also because you have that giant extra pad to play on, right? If there was some way to connect your Switch to your tablet, like an iPad or something, and use that as your screen, I think the Switch version would be way better. Luckily, that's also one of those games that is so low demand in terms of like processing power that there's at least no performance difference between the two. So we can at least walk away enjoying that. I don't know how many of you guys remember this, and it just popped into my head because of what I just said about hooking up your tablet. But with Metal Gear Solid 4, and maybe I talked about this like last week or the week before, Metal Gear Solid 5, when that came out, there was a companion app that you could download, and if you used it and you connected it via Bluetooth, I believe, to your PlayStation 4, you could, on your phone, you would have access to the full area map, and it would like actively track where you are. So like you move forward on the screen, you look down, you're moving forward. And it would also let you access all of the like data logs and then also control your MP3 player. So it was this whole actual companion app that you didn't need to play, but it kind of made it a little cool futuristic enhancement. I want to see more of that. Bring it back. Josh says, yeah, it's better to create levels, but Mario Maker 2 smokes the first one in every other way. Oh, 1,000%. I was obsessed for a little while when 2 came out with watching just like videos of levels and like insane runs and insane like stupid things. And Mario players are fascinating to me. Like they just have such a good handle on how every little thing in Mario is supposed to work. I know that can be said about any game in any one of their fan bases, and I'm sure I'm like that with certain games like Kingdom Hearts or something. But still, just seeing it with Mario, I was like, whoa. All right, Mario Maker was a good move. Jonas says, I feel like Kojima made it, so that wouldn't stink. We were literally talking about that earlier. When Kojima's got his hands on Metal Gear Solid, that's all good stuff. When you go, oh, we're going to do Metal Gear Solid, and you take them away, we got Metal Gear Survive. That is what Konami gave us. One of the worst live service games we have seen in a long time. And I love that actually happened. That was genuinely super organic, because that links us back to the story I brought up earlier. Now, we don't really have to dive into the specifics of the story. If you want specifics, bunch of articles out. I also covered this over on That Game Place this Wednesday with Loki and Culture Casino. New day, guys. Check that out if you want video game talk in the morning. But yes, in a devastating development for WB Games, they have had to shutter the studios behind the studio behind Multiverses, Player First Games, the studio that was developing the Wonder Woman game, Monolith Productions, who you guys might also know for having made like actually good games back in the day. Anybody remember No One Lives Forever? Like the 007, not 007 game. It was like a parody of that 60s mod spy era stuff. One of the best games. They made that. They've made so many other things. They did the Shadows of War series. If you guys, or Middle Earth Shadows of series, which if you guys haven't played those games, absolutely fantastic experiences. They're fun, they're immersive. They actually treat the lore like they went out and they researched and they treat the lore with respect. And when I say that, I don't mean like Rings of Power, where they read it and went, we're gonna fudge that up. They do try their damnedest to make a game like a Lord of the Rings experience that is also a fun, intriguing video game. So there are, if for Tolkien diehards out there, there are some decisions that are going to be odd, to say the least, or maybe don't completely align with canon. I'm not sure on what its canon status is right now. For a little while, it was. Not entirely sure where it stands right now. Biggest change you guys might remember is, and look, I get that this is, as somebody who cares about, puts artists first and creative intentions first, I know this is not what Tolkien wanted at all, and I know that it is sort of an embarrassing move to do it, and it's not like it does not work really for, yes, okay, yeah, it does not really work for what Lord of the Rings is. But Jonas, my man, you already beat me to it. The one change I will highlight that I at least enjoyed was, whoops, wrong window. Yeah, Shelob is turned into a sexy spider. That's a Simpsons reference. I love that line where he's like, ooh, sexy snake. And then it never works if you're not talking about snakes. But yeah, they did turn Shelob into a hottie waifu, a very Ava Green type. It's weird. Again, in terms of does this respect Tolkien's work, is this aligned to canon? No, it absolutely 1000% isn't. Can you, Mav, deny that you somewhat enjoy this change for the very obvious reasons? 1000%. But yeah, so Monolith Productions made those games. They were absolutely incredible. They are gone now. They have also shut down their San Diego support studio, which did not make anything. It's been around for 6 years. It didn't make anything. Fun fact, I, for a little bit, was close to working there. When I lost my job during COVID, they were hiring when the hiring freezes opened back up, and I was in San Diego at the time, and I was like, maybe a jump in career, maybe I should get into the video game industry. Maybe that's where I am meant to be. And eventually things just didn't work out. I moved out, blah, 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 blah. But it was funny to me to see them back in the news and being shut down, because I was like, I actually know you exist. I'm not surprised you didn't do anything. So the reason I wanted to bring this story up in particular, well, first of all, I will say, rest in peace to the Wonder Woman game. I know that a Wonder Woman game, especially in our day and age, has a proclivity or a stronger possibility of being filled with all of the virtue signaling, neo-leftist nonsense that, ruled the last couple years. But I kind of trust Monolith Productions. I don't know if that's what we would have gotten. I kind of have hope in them that that's not where they would have gone. And that's all to say, I was excited for that game, genuinely, when they first announced it, even with that teaser where you have this really good looking Diana model and a genuinely glowing like lasso of truth. I went, let's go. We don't have a lot of like whips in games. We don't have a lot, like, we haven't really had a good Diana adventure. Let's go. I am on board for this. So I'm actually sad that is gone. But the reason I do bring this story up in particular is because of the multiverses element of this story, right? Now, always going to show off this picture because, again, guys, I've said this before. The game is not fun. It is kind of a disaster. It is one of the worst feeling experiences I have ever had playing a game. You know what I mean? Like, it is just, I'm playing that game and it is just not fun to actively try to understand the controls and engage with them. But I have to admit, sometimes they did have some W's. We can all credit where credit is due. And their Wonder Woman, not only were their Wonder Woman models really good looking, it's one of the only times we've ever seen Black Lantern Diana in any other media outside of the comics and maybe Injustice 2. So always stoked about that. Always stoked when you have something like this that acknowledges like a deep bit of comic book lore and isn't just, not just her movie. All three of these Dianas here could have just been from the movie from '84 and Justice League. But no, they actually put in effort, and you can tell there were people on staff who liked Wonder Woman because look, new 52 outfit, Black Lantern, original golden armor or golden eagle armor outfit. That's stuff where they went, I'm going to dig a little deep. But I bring up multiverses because this is sort of what we're talking about with the live service crap. I don't really have a better summary word. Sorry, Jonas. When Jonas, you guys don't know this, or you might know this if you watch any of Jonas over on TPP, or you catch me over on that game place when I'm hanging out with him whenever we can on Wednesday mornings. Jonas obviously tries to keep it a little more clean, a little more family friendly. I ain't got nothing against that. And I always want to be respectful of my friends, especially when I'm in their houses. And so when I always go, oh man, like I made a swear whenever Jonas might be around, and I genuinely feel bad, not out of like, oh man, he's ridiculous, but out of like I really want to do right by my friend. But in terms of live service, right, the biggest thing I wanted to bring up, and this applies to making these games with giant open worlds, even the single player ones we're talking about, which is, I really hit that point earlier about people just don't have time, especially as you get older, when you have kids, when you have, spouses, when you have just other responsibilities, when you have an actual like job, your time gets limited. And the reason you're seeing so many of these, open world games fail, all of these live service games fail, is simply put, we as people have limited time, money, all of that sort of stuff. You can't expect people to up and move their entire sort of ecosystem investment and put it into whatever the flavor of the month is at every single jump, right? And to put it into more concrete terms, whoa, Jonas, whoa, okay, man, I try to keep it clean for you, but there is no reason to be coming on my stream and dropping language like this. This is too far, my friend. Bingo, Josh. If the game is not fun, why bother? Reggie Fils-Aimé, Josh Berger, Michael Scott. That's one of the, it's such a simple thing, but it hits so easily, right? One of my favorite, let me find it. You don't know what you write. Let's see. It's one of my favorite copy pastas because it has literally never proven untrue in terms of video games, right? Pardon me. But this. So this was a really old 4chan post. You can see it's from 2010, but it's making fun of, or it's from the voice of Shigeru Miyamoto. And basically he says, and I can do the voice, okay? I have that card. I better not catch any of you, the rest of you doing it, but I can do it. I think Zeruda gets stale, so I make Wind Waker. You hate Wind Waker and think it for babies, so I borrow Ocarina of Time and make Tuwaitoro Princess. Ooh, but no, now you hate Tuwaitoro Princess. You love Wind Waker now. Well, you don't know what you like. So at this E3, I make Morphu with Tuwaitoro Princeу and Wind Waker called Skyward Sworderu. And you don't like Skyward Sworderu too. You love Wind Waker and Tuwaitoro Princess now. What the fuck do you think you want? That's why I make Wii Sports. At least kids and moms will always like it. Right? Like, that is one of the things that always stands out to me, because it's the people, like, what's the point in a game if it's not fun? And look at how easily he can just, it's true. He can make Wii music, and that thing, gangbusters. Wasn't the biggest game of all time, didn't really push the medium, but it was fun and it offered entertainment. And so people went, yeah, I'm completely into that. So why I bring up the live service investment stuff, and to give it, to put it in more concrete terms, for example, I play Fortnite, right? I play Fortnite, and now I also play Marvel Rivals. For a little while, it was before Marvel Rivals came out, I was playing Overwatch 2. Not very religiously, not very often, but I have one of my best friends from high school. It's kind of the one game that we can both like hop on and just sort of like hang out, right? Like we both have it. We both used to play it really hard, like back in the original Overwatch 1 early days. And it just became that thing that we just throw on. Now we do Marvel Rivals, but to that point, right? If I'm in Overwatch 2 and I'm in Fortnite and I have spent hours ranking up, unlocking things, dollars upon dollars, like buying my skins and stuff. I have invested time. I am, this is what I'm doing. It's really, you need to make a serious case when you go, here's Multiversus, here's Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Come restart essentially your digital life over here, right? Just like so many people, when you're talking about any sort of problem, whether it's economic or social or whatever, a lot of people always default to like, oh, if you don't like what's going on, why don't you move? And I don't even mean that in like the aggressive, like, you don't like America, get out. But if somebody goes up and they're like, man, I'm just like not really happy with like what my area is like right now, and somebody goes like, why don't you just move? It seems like such an easy thing. Why don't you just move? Why don't you just play another free video game? But think about it. If somebody asked you, why don't you just move? You would go, well, now I have to consider like uprooting everybody and all of those costs. And that's really hard. And I don't know, like, what about my house value? What am I going to find out there? What about my kids' friends? What about my friends? What about all of that stuff makes it really hard to just go, yeah, you're right. You know what? You're right, Steven. I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to go get a new apartment. It's problem solved. So that's what happens with live service games. We put in time, we put in our investments, and when somebody comes along and says, here's a single player game that's going to take you 70 hours to complete because it's all open world and there's nothing in it, I don't want to even start engaging with that, because I've got stuff over here to do in Marvel Rivals. I've got stuff over here to do in Fortnite. And that is something that a lot of these companies fail to understand, is that yes, you can make the game free, but that investment, that hump of like getting new players into your ecosystem, it is very difficult. And going back to what Shinkai said earlier about, different unique traversal mechanics, that's the sort of thing you need, right? You need to give players something that says, this is why you want to come over here. You can't just say, come over here because we've got Harley Quinn. I mean, maybe that would work for somebody, but not for a lot of people. But if you go, oh, hey, you should come over here because we've got Spider-Man and Squirrel Girl and Mr. Fantastic, and we're doing them comic accurate, which you guys haven't seen in a long time. And we're also, giving you a lot of free skins. We're giving you a lot of different mechanics. Come on over. Well, then that's going to get people to go, oh, maybe I will go check out Marvel Rivals. But that I really just wanted to bring this up because that is what it is. With all these games being so big and so long and requiring such an investment, it's not as easy to just go, all right, I'm going to hop over to that one, right? Remember back in the day, for example, I would play Devil May Cry 3. I would run through a couple levels, and then I'd go, that was fun. I'm going to put in Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction now. I would play that for a couple hours, and then I might go get, something to eat, come back and go, I'm going to play some GTA. You can't really do that anymore because, oh, I've got to do my dailies. Oh, I've got to make sure I don't miss this skin. Oh, I got to make sure I get this. And imagine adding a third thing or a fourth thing onto that. I already don't really pay attention to my Fortnite dailies unless there's a battle pass that I'm really, really aiming for something. And thankfully, I'm not the biggest Mortal Kombat fan, so I really don't care about this pass. But there can be times when I log into Fortnite, do that, then I jump over to Marvel Rivals and I do that, which I want to do that. I'm not complaining. But then you can't expect me to go, okay, now that I've done all that, now I'm going to jump over to Halo Infinite and I'm going to spend more time traversing the map. It doesn't work. And I really do think, and I hope, we start seeing more of this return to respecting players like investments and their time. Nothing wrong with making a 60-hour game, but you can't throw that out there and then be like, oh yeah, most of this is open world. I don't know. It gets too complicated. Jonas says, you should hear how much Vash struggles to keep it together when I do my Hattori Hanzo impression. Oh man. I know I haven't heard him, but I can kind of guess. Cause sometimes when I'm on, T3PO or I'm just like talking to him on Slack or something, I'll do like a stupid like Asian accent like that. And it always like kills with him. I think it's his secret sauce, Jonas also says, I'm not giving up my weird contact juggling emote that I never asked for and I never used to play as Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo should come to Fortnite. That's what I'm talking about, right? Like, I've got so many I've got Hatsune Miku in Fortnite now. At this point, if you want me to go to a different ecosystem, you've got to like really, really, really sweeten the pot because Fortnite's already got me really, really hard. Timon says, so after in reference to me and Jonas talking about Kojima and the Metal Gear Solid 5 app, but walking simulator with black goo is boring. So that's a reference to Death Stranding. So I unfortunately agree. Gameplay wise, it is kind of boring. I think artistically and narratively that gameplay really works to sell the atmosphere and the setting of Death Stranding, right? The isolation, the difficulty of moving forward as like humanity in this uncertain time. But that doesn't necessarily make it a fun video game, right? So like I love Death Stranding for the characters and like the presentation, but that's another one of those games where I can't go back and replay it because it's just too slow. But also like I'm sure you guys all know this, but it's also really hard for me to talk about like Kojima. Like I am an admitted fanboy. 1,000% I am an admitted Kojima fanboy. Ever since I played Metal Gear Solid 3 back in the day, I was hooked. Like I was done. I don't know. To me, he's just peak. I like everything he does. So full warning whenever we talk anything Metal Gear. Miku boo. No, you Miku boo. But funny enough, Jonas, I don't know if you know this because like me, I know you don't enjoy playing Festival as much. I don't either, but it's also kind of an easy way to get experience points. And when you're tired, doing 4 chords to like a Sabrina Carpenter song is kind of just the right amount of dedication I want to give to my gameplay. But like my friend and we both have Miku. And when we go into Festival and we pick any of the Miku songs, if they're like, no matter like wherever they are in the playlist, right before it comes on, most everybody always leaves. It's pretty hilarious. Like everybody goes, I don't want to deal with this Japanese crap. And they are out of there. So like if it's the 3rd song on the list, we'll get through song 2, bounced out of here. If it's the first song on the playlist, we won't even get in there. It is me playing a 4-song set. Don't tell anyone, but Bad Romance is my jam. I was saying this earlier. I won't tell anyone, but there's no such thing as guilty pleasures here or secrets. We enjoy what we enjoy. I legitimately like sit there a lot and I'm like, do I really want to pay $5 for a Fortnite playable version of Blink-182 songs? And I think I might, but that's like, but yeah, it. And then yes, Jonas says it's Metal Gear Solid weirdness without the fun war parts. That's a perfect summary of it, and I think that's exactly why I like what I like about it, and why I don't like what I don't like about it, which is I love the MGS weirdness. I definitely want that like war conflict. Hooked since Twin Snakes, I need that remake. It is such a bummer to me that they do not want to talk about Twin Snakes at all. Like it is just shoved into the recesses of history. I don't know why. I mean, I do. I know it's a Nintendo thing. I know they hold the rights, so they don't ever want to let anything out. It just bums me out. I don't know how you if you've given this any thought, Jonas, but there is, so obviously Twin Snakes is very different from the original Metal Gear Solid in its narrative. You know, you've got things like Snake snowboard or like skateboard riding a missile, or doing a bunch of crazy cartwheels to dodge bullets. And so a lot of people go, that's not canon, right? Metal Gear Solid 1 canon, Twin Snakes not canon. But other people go, no, it is straight up canon because Kojima made it part of canon. The way I solve this debate, this is the theory I like. Twin Snakes is Otacon's retelling of the events of Metal Gear Solid 1. So it is canon, but all the exaggerated stuff you're seeing, that's Otacon fanboying. So in Metal Gear Solid 1, you fight the Hind, and it's just a regular fight. You run between the boxes, you shoot out, you wait, shoot out. In Otacon, right, Snake's jumping on the missile, and he's like doing all this crazy stuff. That sounds like what a fanboy would do, right? Oh, hey, yeah, Andrew's here. Ooh, that's a great take, right? And so you go, all of that stuff where Snake seems super, super rad. That's just a guy going, you're so cool. Like Snake is the best. And it works because he's still, even when you get to like 4, Otacon is still slightly fanboying over Snake whenever they're interacting. My guilty pleasure for music is basically all of Ariana Grande's albums. No guilty pleasures here, but it's funny. I've been listening to all of them this week. I don't know why. It's just been hitting. I put on Thank You Next, and I just let all the CDs play in order, and I'm not paying attention because I'm working, and I have it on repeat, and just all the albums keep going. And yeah, I love them too. What's that song? Like Popular Song. I know it's like her big like mainstream hit from like her first album, but damn if I don't love that song to death. Jonas says, I didn't know that. It's canon to me. It made me care more about Revolver Ocelot more in Metal Gear Solid 4. 100% agree with you. I always thought it was canon. I was always like, this is the better version. But then I understand people's like apprehension where they're like, it's so weird. It's so different. And there's these changes. And I'm like, okay, I get it. So that's why I have that theory to make everything line up perfectly. Otacon has one of the best lines in the whole series. Snakes had a hard life. Yeah, at the end of MGS4. I love Otacon just as a general character, even especially when they lean into just kind of how much of a loser dork he is. And like, I don't know, he's got a soft spot in my heart. Andrew says, side note, I'm genuinely concerned for Ariana Grande with how she looks after the Wicked film. Oh, dude, we talked about this over on Wednesday night over on Bounding Into Comics, but yeah, let me pull up a picture of her. She does not look good. And she looks like what do you call it? The cautionary example from like an eating disorder PSA. It is very, very bad right now. And it really kind of bums me out because I see a lot of her fans, a lot of young women going, no, she's fine. Like, don't judge her body. Don't shame her or whatever. But I'm like, look, like, this is not okay. This is somebody that you can see the damn rip. She's looking like a Rob Liefeld drawing and she has no muscle on her. Like, this is not okay. Right? Like, again, this is not an element of like, oh, you're not hot anymore, you're not pretty anymore, but this is like a health concern. Like, I'm genuinely worried about her. How does she go on? Like, what energy does she have during the day? And it's just one of those sort of moments where it's like, I would have hoped, at least in this sense, we would have been past this as a society of very clearly enabling extreme eating disorders like this, but we sadly haven't, and it's a bummer. I really hope she gets help. It's rough to see. Jonah says, yeah, it's hard to watch. I hope it's something that therapy can help and not something terminal. Agreed. I really hope this isn't a Bozwick situation. I really hope that this is just her Hollywood moment. Kind of like, yeah, what Timon said right here. She went full Hollywood. This was her. Yeah, she was in like Nickelodeon and all that sort of fun stuff, but this is her first big like Hollywood gig, and I think it got to her a little bit. Caffeinated Andrew says she was already itty bitty, but that was just her body type. Exactly. Now she's literally skin and bones, and the light is gone from behind her eyes. It's funny you bring that up because that's a thing thematically. It's a good like link because Cider really got into that with us over on Bounding because he made the same observation. He was like, I'm not really even gonna like. He's like, Jacob and Spencer already talked about her like how she physically looks, and Nerdigans gave her opinion as a woman. But check this out. The reason I know something's wrong, he was like, it's in her eyes. You look in her eyes and you can just see something is broken, something is sad, and I'm just like, yeah, I can see that, Cider, like genuinely, and Cider really hits that that point about eyes being windows into the soul. So he's a big AI person, as you guys might know from seeing his thumbnails sometimes or our intros to our streams. But he also is one of those people who agrees, like, if you're doing a big commercial production, you don't use AI. Like, you don't use this for making your art. You can use it for fun or to help, but you don't make art with it. And one of the things Cider always points out is, like, he's really good at detecting AI because he goes, like, just look at the eyes. There is an absence of, like, human quantity behind AI depictions of eyeballs on photos. And even on the most, like, super convincing ones, it's seriously there. And I always think about that all the time. This. Oh, you think this is Kelly Ripa? She's making her comeback to her, right? It's her and Zombie Regis, and she's just trying to match the energy of her new host, or her returning host, her returning show host. Not when I said that match the energy of her host, it sounded like she was going to go in and possess them, but that's not what I meant. Shinkai says she looks like Christian Bale from the Machinist. I think, yeah, that is the skinny one. And yeah, when he super skit like that, but that was the point of why he did that, was to show off, like, it was body horror. It was to show the creepiness of, like, the human form. And now she took that as a playbook, and it's such a bummer. Yeah, Andrew says, I've been a massive fan of hers for years, and I've never seen her look or act like this. I'm afraid something is genuinely wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. So baseline, I hope she's okay. I hope she gets either the medical or mental health she needs, whatever it is. In giving an opinion, I don't necessarily know if this is going to be a health thing, like a sickness thing. This, to me, feels a little more eating disorder-y. But again, after everything with Chadwick Boseman, and as we just know, being humans who experience life, very, very hard to tell anything going on from a still image or whatever, right? So I don't want to be, oh yeah, Andrew, don't worry, it's an eating disorder. And then 3 months from now, oh, she had the worst cancer. We don't even know what it infected. We just know it was the worst cancer. Because then I would just feel genuinely like a terrible person. Andrew says, Night of the Living Philbin. I would be so in. I missed the Phil. One of my favorite cameos in How I Met Your Mother back in the day, when I could still stand to watch that show before the finale, was when he, I don't even remember I think he, like, works out at Marshall's gym or something, and he wants to try and get everybody to meet him. I don't remember what the context was, but I do remember that it was just a pleasure to have him on there. Jonas says, I've got to run, my friends. Have a great one. First of all, we are probably wrapping up here very, very soon. We are hitting that 2.5 hour mark. I'm just going to hit 2 more things before we go. But Jonas, always a pleasure. Super happy that I'm able to talk to you at least one time this week. Take it easy, brother. You've got my number. Message me if you need any help with your workload. And I genuinely hope I see you very, very soon. And guys, go check out TPP. It is better than ever. And a lot of that, of course, has to do with Jonas being one of the best, I don't know your official position, so I'm just going to call you news czar, one of the best news czars in our sphere. And also just go check out anything Jonas is doing, whether he's showing up on Pro's channel, whether he's showing up on T3PO, whether he is actually giving a new video, a new entry in his Everything Woke With series. Go check that out over there. But if you are waiting for that one, you might pass out and go blue and all that fun stuff before you get one. But yes, go check out, yes, and Everything with Vash over there. They are the best. Go check them out. Vash, of course, has been an amazing help in getting TPP back on the right track. So go check out all their stuff. Official endorsement from BIC. That's how you know things are getting better out here. I don't have a title. I hate titles. Pro is threatening to give me a title. Well, now that I know that, I'm just going to send Pro like a list of 40 different absurd titles for you, and I'm going to make him pick one of them. Adios, amigo. We will see you soon. That is correct. He is a hard-hitting journalist. Black Heart, Jonas Campbell? Oh no, Blackheart Zero Dozer. No. Your title, my friend, is Brazilian, which is worse. But we need to be accurate here. I'm kidding, buddy. Yes. So, first, yes, we are hitting that 2.5 hour mark. I don't want to keep everybody longer, especially given that we started a little later. So just 2 more quick hits. Obviously, as Zero Dozer is asking right now, who is that manga girl? Well, my friends, this week's stream buddy is who Zero is talking about. And this week, my friends, this is for all my old heads out there, right? This is for all my fellow, weebs in 1999, all that sort of fun stuff, right? Because if you guys do not know, there is a very, very, very popular manga, very, very influential manga and anime series that was made back then called Azumanga Daioh. Very, very funny. You guys have probably seen a lot of memes. It was a big part of internet culture back in the early 2000s. Early 4chan was filled with memes of everybody, right? From Chio to Saki. It's so influential. It is such a big series. The author of the series, I always forget his name. It's like Kishinoya, and I don't know why. I always just get a blank in my brain from the Azumanga Daioh mangaka. I don't know why. But he has a new series that he's been working on for many, many, many years now, and it's called Yotsuba. A lot of you might recognize her. She is kind of the de facto adopted mascot of 4chan right now, but she's also just a very, very adorable young manga character. Side note, if you have not read Yotsuba, I would highly, highly, highly recommend everybody go check it out, because it is one of those innocent gag humor comics where the entire premise is Yotsuba, the young girl right here, is being raised by her single father after her mother died, and it's really just about her experiences growing up, learning how to, play pretend, learning what sharing is, going on her first trip to the zoo. It's adorable, and it's a lot of that humor is based on just the innocence of a child and the absurdity of a child. So definitely go check this out if you haven't yet. It is one of my favorite series of all time, even though I don't really talk about it a lot. It's always funny. It's always cute. It's always heartwarming, right? Like we need more of that. But yes, the reason I have picked Azumanga Daioh today is because, yes, the Osaka from freaking Azumanga Daioh just made her appearance after years, after 3 decades. She is back, and she has finally achieved her dream of being a teacher, and she is a teacher in the Yotsuba universe. So yes, Zero, with this week's Yotsuba chapter, Azumanga Daioh and Yotsuba are completely confirmed to be in the exact same universe. And I'm just going to put it this way. Obviously, I still talk to, I have a lot of friends who are in my age, my generation, who I grew up with, who we all loved Azumanga Daioh. We were all there for the culture. And as soon as we saw these leaks, we were losing our minds. Like this is the return of the Mac, baby. Never, this is Goku reappearing or showing up on Namek and being like, oh yeah, I'm here to save the day. It's that level of hype. And yes, so obviously I couldn't not highlight this monumental old head weeb moment. So that is our stream buddy for tonight. I highly recommend both Azumanga Daioh and Yotsuba. Both are very fun. They're both gag comics. They're both quality. So yes, thank you to Asaka. She's back, and I've missed her so much. Shinkai says, cool, been a while since I read Yotsuba. It's a nice comic manga that's pretty chill. Hope one day it gets an anime. Also heading off too. Take care, everyone. Yes, Shinkai. All right, so Shinkai's getting out of here. Yeah, I kind of, this is kind of on me, because we kind of did the thing where we got wrapped up in really good conversations, right? I'm glad, because that is the main point of the show, is for us all to have a conversation, for us all to ask, for you guys to have your thoughts and your opinions and everything acknowledged, so that you know that community still exists. You don't have to be I don't feel isolated, don't feel shut out because of all the idiots over at BioWare telling us to, don't talk about our games or anything. So before we head out of here, and we will keep this one particularly short, even though we could really get into it. But yes, unfortunately, we got an update. So from James Gunn, last week there was a giant DC Studios news event where they dropped a bunch of updates about what was going on. Some shows are doing great. Some shows are doing not so great. They've got a lot of things planned. They've got new animated series coming out, all that cool stuff. Aside from things like, yes, Superman's coming down the hatch. Authority is, kind of wonky right now. Andy Muschietti is no longer attached to Brave and the Bold, it looks like. There was a nugget that not a lot of places picked up, which was this quote that you can see, or this story you can see here. James Gunn has confirmed that Tom King, Mr. Heroes in Crisis, that's right! Crypto Bros forever! Hashtag Crypto Bros. Foil variant, we will pump and dump that crypto for, okay, now when I say it like that sounded bad, but we will hype up crypto forever. James Gunn confirmed that the upcoming Lantern series with Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler as Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, respectively, as you can see here in the thumbnail and the image I featured on the article from Neil Adams. Rest in peace. I caught myself, Andrew. Like that was really bad as it was leaving my mouth. James Gunn has confirmed that the Lantern series will not be based or take any inspiration from any comic book run. So no Jeff Johns Rebirth, no Jeremy Adams, whatever we're doing now, even though it's kind of confusing. No War of Light, none of any of that stuff. No Gil Kane from back in the day. You're not getting any of that. You are instead, hey, it's Caveat coming in for our last little bit. What is going on, amigo? I'm always happy to see you, and I've been seeing you around more, so always makes my Friday better. Yeah, so that Lantern series, not based on anything. It is instead going to be a wholly original series, or a wholly original version of the Lanterns, done by that jackass, Tom King. And this is the quote from Gunn: as he did with Strange Adventures, as he did with Woman of Tomorrow, Supergirl, as he did with Mr. Miracle, as he did with what's the last one that he mentions? Oh, Strange Adventures. Now, we talk a lot about Tom King on here. You know that I am not a fan of him. If you get me and Andrew in a room together and you drop that name, we go at each other like Batman v Superman with, why did you say that name? And we will wail on each other. He's not good. He is the boogeyman. He is probably the worst comic book writer. Let me put it this, or let me asterisk that. There are a lot of bad comic book writers, but I think he's particularly the worst because while those bad comic book writers are they're just trying lower level stuff and they might not be hitting something, Tom King is heralded by both himself and the media as like the second coming of Grant Morrison, of Jeff Johns, or not even Jeff Johns. Grant Morrison was a better comparison. Warren Ellis, right? Like Greg Rucka, just this super deep level writer who really explores all these themes that we haven't thought of before. And he's not. He is literally like the most shallow, pathetic, I went into this article. I highly recommend, if you want more info on just what he can get up to, you go check it out. But his entire existence is really based on, this character, let me subvert it. Like literally he is the subvert audience expectations personified. He only exists to go, you think this is it? Oh, by the way, it's also this. And then this is a point I didn't really get into in the article because I kind of wanted to keep it a little political neutral, but Tom King's a CIA agent, right? He legitimately signed up, served in the CIA right after 9/11. He was part of the invasion of Iraq, the false invasion of Iraq, and everything we did out in the war in the Middle East. And so never trust anything he's writing to what are we doing here? We're hiring a CIA spook? What? I don't know what he could be writing, what his ulterior goals are. Like, that's the thing. You never leave the CIA. You just get a different assignment that is less public. like if you go, I'm retiring from the CIA, you're not out. You're not done. They can still tap you for things. They've still got dossiers on you. Like it's a foolish thing to think. So A, he's a CIA person, and B, because of that, a lot of his work features a very jingoistic, not like post 9/11 oorah message about America, right? Which is like, so I love this country. I do. I also know it has its flaws, and I also know that the Iraq War and all of that stuff post 9/11 is going to be, will be, and it currently is already one of our greatest shames, from lying to the American people to just laying waste to our own men and, you know, a conflict we really didn't need to be a part of. It was a disaster. So when I see, to see Tom King go out here and just go like, America is like the paragon. We are only the best. Like everybody will look up to it. It just feels very propagandist, right? Like you are trying way too hard to revive that idea of we need to be America, go put our foot in everybody's ass that got us into that war, that got us into that position in the first place. And I'm all for patriotism, but there's a difference between like patriotism and goading everybody and inflaming their emotions to an end, right? And yeah, so Tom King does that a lot, and I seriously, this is the only accurate word, or like the closest word I can come up with for how I feel. It genuinely makes me uncomfortable with how much like emotional lifting he does and has the DC heroes do for post, 9/11, we're going to go blow up everybody America. Like it really makes me feel very odd. And for example, this, I don't have it on hand because I refuse to even let these issues onto my, I refuse to even let my Pakistani buddy put his, sully himself by even ordering or touching these books. But in the latest issue of Wonder Woman, there is a scene where I don't know what happened, but the Washington Monument has been broken by some event, right? And there is this weird, super dramatic moment where Diana, she gives a recap, and it's broken, and then there's a panel of her sitting at the base of it, and it's like fixed again, and she recalls, she's like, Superman saw the Washington Monument broken, and he felt that this powerful symbol of America could not stand like this, and it was a genuine heresy. So he had everybody, like all the Justice League, stop what they were doing, and they spent weeks building this tower back up to like its exact specifications. And I'm like, yeah, Superman might go, hey, we got to repair that, and hey, I love America, but he's not. You're going to do the super thing, right? He's just, there, I got it all back together. You're not going to stop the Justice League and have them spend 2 weeks of their time that they can be doing deployed anywhere else to rebuild a monument. And also to consider the Washington Monument a symbol of American power. I don't know where that comes. This isn't even a political thing. I just don't know where that comes from. As an American, we know it exists and it's impressive and all those emotions, but I don't think anybody's ever gone that's us, point to us, baby, right? Like American flag, sure, or not flag, Statue of Liberty, sure, the Twin Towers when they were still up, sure, the Golden Gate bridge, maybe, but never, or the Lincoln Monument even, but nobody. I don't know, that was such a weird moment where I'm like, I don't know about that. Yes, so Andrew says, Tom King will forever be a name treated like Voldemort in my home. Absolutely. I will only bring it up. I will only say it in full when I'm trying to give you guys a warning. I will sacrifice my soul to save you all. And then Andrew also says, Weeks, Wally could literally fix it in a second. And no, that's the thing. That's what makes it so weird. I'm not against him going, oh, we got to repair the Washington Monument. Or even go hey, America could use a bit of unity. Let's rebuild this monument. But he's not going to stand there and do the we can't use our superpowers. We have to rebuild it with our hands. It's just what? It just like you said, Wally could do it. He could do it. There are 90 different speedsters that you can use to do this in a picosecond. You've got Dr. Fate who could rewind time if you wanted to. You've got like who just millions of heroes who can do this without it being like a weird construction project. So yes, Tom King, not good at all. And it really bums me out because we got the first image of Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler, and I'm going to pull it up right now, as Hal and Jon Stewart. There it is. Sweet. That was an easy one to find, guys. I like when it's easy for me to find. So yeah, we got this first shot. They're filming Lanterns right now, and it really bums me out because like this, admittedly, I don't know if I can I don't think I've gotten the words yet because I've really only been sitting on this for like a day or two. There's something about this photo that really inspired, like it goes, I see it and I go like, all right, like, yeah, I'm like, it speaks to something, like it hits something right. And I really like Kyle Chandler as Hal. I think that's good for the older version they're going for. I genuinely think the idea of a Green Lantern detective story where it's on Earth, but you also have elements in space or whatever is a really cool concept. But now that I know that this is 98% Tom King, as well as, I don't know if he's watching, but as our friend Adam likes to remind me all the time because he knows it hurts my soul, is it's also got Damon Lindelof. All of my expectations are just zero now. I'm genuinely expecting this, because it's Tom King, to turn into racism bad. Like Black Man in America sat. Like that's what it's going to be. And it's going to be ham-fisted. And it bums me out. So I don't really have more to say on it than that. It just bums me out. I am the new Sadness Lantern. Andrew says, then again, the same writer also had Catwoman beat multiple speedsters, so he's just a retarded piece of shit who should be blacklisted from mainstream comics. Exactly. Like, I don't know why he keeps getting work. I don't know who looks at him or like at his body of work and goes, this is great. Like, we want more of this. No, I don't know any fans, right? Like, even when I go on Reddit, on like the mainstream comic book subs, sometimes I'll search for an image on Google Images. The best link is going to be from that Reddit thread. I go in, even normies are like, I liked one or two of Tom King's things, but now he's just like pompous and he's like up his own butt. And I'm like, so why do we keep giving him work? Can we stop? Just please stop. Andrew says, Chandler could be a really good middle-aged Hal, and Stewart's casting is solid as well, but the creative team gives me literally zero optimism. Amen. That is literally exactly where I am. Obviously, I'm up to being impressed, but good gosh. Tom King and Damon Lindelof? Oh man, I just realized they were both part of that stupid Let's Milk Watchmen push, because Damon Lindelof did the show, and then Tom King did the really, really bad Rorschach miniseries, right? So it all comes full circle. But speaking of coming full circle, I think with that hit on Lanterns, we've gone 20 minutes longer. Didn't want to keep you guys. I already know we've lost some folks, so we'll probably wrap it up here. Before we get out of here, of course, I want to shout out Caveat Ties. Says, last day of skiing done for my son. If you guys don't remember, his son has been enjoying a super discounted like slope pass. I guess it was for the winter, but with February ending, here comes spring, so it's all over. I'm still kind of really, really jealous of him that he got that discounted pass, but I'm glad that that's something that is offered. Super cool for him. And I'm glad, Caveat, that genuinely you could stop in and hang out with us for a little bit. Before we actually get out of here, really quick, because I did not hit this, no time to really get into what I wanted to show you guys tonight. If you're interested in what I was going to say, go check out last night's foil variant. I broke down what I loved so much about this issue. Otherwise, go check out Hell Hunters if you are looking for a just fun comic book time. Yeah, really, really, really fun series with some really, really great art. This is one of my favorite pieces in recent memory. Bucky and the Ghost Rider just going crazy on some Nazis, right? So, yes, Hell Hunters, good comic books. But with that, guys, it is now time for you to start your good weekends, right? I hope that with this show, while I look for the button, I hope with this show, with hanging out with all of us here, whether you are actively chatting or you are just watching, you have me on in the background, or if you're watching this in the VOD maybe a couple days later, I hope that we were able to, what am I trying to say here? I hope you had some fun. I hope we were able to give you some good thinking points, recommend you some fun stuff to check out, to go investigate, maybe buy. Again, Naruto Transformer. How do you pass that up? Very, very hard to, right? As always, guys, thank you for hanging out. From Caveat to Shinkai to Timon to Tehillim to Zero to Andrew to Jonas, my goodness, to Volume Dealer to, oh no, I feel like I'm forgetting somebody, but I don't think I am. Tehillim, Caveat, Shinkai, I know Dante was here for a little bit. Josh is here, of course, as always. If I forgot anybody, I apologize. And again, just know I have a way. I have a better way of saying thank you to all of you with the new layout. And it'll make all of that better. And I will never have to forget myself and redo the end of show list 4 times ever again. Andrew says, I kind of want them to make a Susanoo Transformer now. I do. I kind of just want them to keep going. I think, like, Monster Hunter Transformers, it feels like Beast Wars. I'm totally in for that. Again, even though I don't know Monster Hunter, I still want those guys. As always, guys, you can catch me boundingintocomics.com every day, where we are putting up new news stories, not written by AI, not ripped off from anybody else. Gives you the truth, gives you context, gives you links. Don't use Fandom Pulse. It is a complete horseshit of a site. As for me, if you guys want to hang out with me some more before next week, obviously next week, same Mav time, save Mav channel for another episode of Good Mav Ugly. Until then, you can follow me right here on Twitter or Twitch or pretty much everywhere at Kabuto Rider Mav. You can also join our Discord, where there is a link right now down below in the description. You can also catch me, let's see, how do I run through this? Wednesday mornings, you can catch me on That Game Place with Jonas and Culture Casino and Stone Cold Loki and a bunch of our other friends as we talk the latest that week's video game news. You can catch me then Wednesday nights on the Bounding Into Comics stream, the 01 stream, where Cider, Jacob, Nerdigans, and I break down the week's biggest pop culture entertainment news stories. Then Thursday nights, if you aren't sick of me, join me over on Foil Variant at 4 p.m. Pacific time, where Andrew and I will break down the week's comic book releases, let you know what's good, let you know what's not good. Basically, go read Ultimate Spider-Man. It is the greatest book we have read in a very, very long time. And then, like I said, Fridays, right back here, where we will hang out some more, we'll talk some more, we'll have lots to get into. Who knows what it is? I mean, it's been 2 weeks, and I still haven't had it's my show, and I haven't had my opportunity to fanboy out about the Final Fantasy Magic card. So maybe we'll get to that at some point. Until then, new news on boundingintocomics.com every day. Subscribe right here at Kabuto Studios. Go follow everybody else. I know Andrew's got channels. I know Zero's got channels. Click on their names. Everybody here is worth following. To everybody who's watching in the VOD or just watching and hasn't commented, thank you so much for hanging out with us, even though, or not even though, why do I say it like that? Thank you for hanging out. It's awesome. I don't ever expect anybody to actually chat, so the fact that you were just here means the world to me. I couldn't do it without all of you. With that, everybody, my mouth is getting super dry. I need to go get some more water. I gotta finish setting up Rebirth. So with that, I'll be getting out of here, and take it easy, everybody.
As the creator of Mara Jade,
Wait! I am not the creator of Mara Jade, and I want you to get out of this office right now.
I'm sorry, Zeb.
No way.
You brought
No way.
You brought it on yourself.
I don't want you here.
I'm so
Out.
sorry, George. I didn't think it would go like this.
Out.
Ted, I got your voucher.
Out! There.
I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. We'll have him, like, burned and... We'll
I don't
execute
even
him
know
and
who
burned.
that guy is.